Sir, I have a proposition. We're decent people being driven from our homes. Slaughtered in cold blood.
So you seek revenge?
I seek righteousness. But I'll take revenge.
Took a job looking for some men to join me. Is it difficult? Impossible.
How many you got so far?
You and me?
Quite a batch of strays.
This is not going to end well. God dang it, I'm good. How many men you say?
Greetings and salutations. Saddle up. This is the Western genre in all its forms being celebrated here at Anti-Quote Channel. I am your host, Ryan, of that same name. And joining me into the ride, for this ride into the Wild West, the Old West, the time that was, please welcome a good friend of ours and members of Veritas Entertainment. Good Lord, lots of things coming our way from those fellas. Whew! Do they ever sleep? Probably not. But please welcome Luke Goodich to the stage. He looks like Shooter McGavin on a Western-themed show. How you doing, man?
I do. Getting ready for Happy Gilmore too, you know. I'm representing Westerns, but I'm also representing good old Shooter McGavin. I'm excited to talk about this genre. I love it.
Yeah.
Way too much. So this is going to be a good outlet to just spew some Western excitement.
Yep. Just have fun with it, man. Just let it all out in that sort of way. Also joining us is someone who has been on already, like 2 or 3 times in the last couple of weeks, but he just can't seem to go away. He's like a cockroach. You can't get rid of this guy. But no, he's a great author. He's a great guy. He just hasn't seen one of the greatest comedies of all time yet. He's got a lot of homework to do after this broadcast. Please welcome all the way from the Pacific Northwest. T.G. Brown is back once again. How you doing, brother?
Doing well. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk Westerns as well with a couple awesome gentlemen here. So it's going to be a good time today.
It absolutely is. And if you're just joining us for the very first time, don't forget to like and share this with your closest friends. If you're watching us live or what is known as a replay, hello there. If you have any questions or recommendations for anything within the Western genre, whether it's a movie, a TV series, a book, a magazine, an article, whatever it may be, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Be more than happy to hear from you as they come in, whether it's during the live portion of this broadcast or the replay version, doesn't matter. With that being said, when it comes to the Western, without something known as the history books, the textbooks, the books, the comic books themselves, we wouldn't really know much about the Western genre, would we? So I'm just curious, Luke, what are some of your favorite Western-themed novels?
It's easy to just hit Louis L'Amour, you know what I mean, as like the answer for this, because that guy wrote over 100 novels easily, and I think each one is just about as good as the Western genre gets. So if anyone ever asks me like, hey, what should I read Western-wise? I send them Louis L'Amour first. I think that's the best place to start from a true master of the genre. Can't go wrong.
Gee, I wonder if that's going to be the answer to every question that ever is asked.
It is.
Well, that's ever going to be asked. I don't know. I mean, who the heck knows, man? But no, I totally dig it. And by the way, the covers for a lot of those, books, goodness gracious, man.
Got a lot around me right now.
Look at this.
Yeah.
They just kill it with those covers.
And even the new ones, that like the Lost Treasures, so sick. Look at that.
Yeah.
And then I like the classic styles, you know?
Oh, yeah, look at this one.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Crossfire Trail. We go on all day.
Yeah, if you got any extra copies, just send them my way, bro. Outside of that, sorry, I'm trying to get into Louis. I'm trying to be introduced to Louis L'Amour too. I mean, I got some Louis L'Amour behind me here, but there's too much to do. But it never hurts to have more options in someone's catalog. So let's just put it that way. For instance, TG, I'm just curious, what are some of your Western books or novellas? Anything stand out to you other than the fact that Louis L'Amour is the president and CEO of Westerns.com?
Yeah, I mean, Louis L'Amour's hard to beat, but I guess I'll go with Joe Lansdale. He has a couple westerns that really resonated with me. I talked about it last night on the show as well. The Thicket is one, and Paradise Sky. He did one. It was kind of like a biographical type of story, except where he took some liberties with that story as well. But yeah, no, it's a pretty good. He does really good of illustrating what the West was really like, and he has an authentic feel. He writes great dialogue. He's got a perfect mix of realism and entertainment. So I'll go with him for now.
All right, nice, man, nice. I've heard that name once or twice before. Once again, I got to this my TBR. It's terrible. Ugh, so much to do in so little time. That's my biggest problem in life. But great answers, gentlemen. Yeah, for me, I've read a few westerns here and there. Some of the titles aren't coming to my mind, but I know this one is really, really good. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it, but it's only the best-selling book in the world right now. So if you've never heard of Cut Them Down, you may want to check it out. I don't know, some dude named T.G. Brown wrote it like 2 minutes ago, but I hear it's good, so you might want to run with that. I'm not sure. And then you get some of these here. You get Sunrise Over the Valley, I hear is really good, and then The Longwood Trail by Jeff Pitabana is really good. So
Great interview with him on the show too.
yeah, he was good.
great.
He was a lot of fun. We need to get who's this gentleman here? George Cottonwood. We need to get him on the show. Should we get him on here, Luke? I think
We should. He'd be great.
Mhm.
He writes a lot of classic westerns. He's got a few short stories as well that he's written, and he's in the Veritas Roundup that's coming out on Tuesday with yours truly. Ryan's in there as well. So
There we go.
There it is.
he's got a story in there too. I think it'd be great to have him on. He's awesome.
It'll happen. It'll happen. George, send me a DM. I'll send you a DM on the Men's Adventure Fishing Discord, respectively. Check your messages. We'll be in touch. My people will call your people. But no, those. I know that was kind of cheating by bringing those images up, but hey, those are some of the things I've read, some of the things I've enjoyed so far. Not Sunrise Over the Valley though. I haven't read that one yet, but I'm going to get myself a copy of that and treat myself.
Nice.
It will happen. It will. One thing, I don't think I have the image here, but there's one. It's a new series. It's called Rugged, written by Howard Donovan of StormgatePress.com, which is run by Charles F. Millhouse. That's really good. If you ever read that yet, I would strongly recommend that. That's a good entry point into the Western genre. It's short. It's only 100 pages and change, something like that. Not too long, not too short either. So check out Rugged, an Outcast story written by Howard Donovan of StormgatePress.com. Find copies of that on the Stormgate Press store, online store. Hello, buy from the author, treat yourself, or you can buy it off of Amazon. Either way,
they have great covers. They remind me of like the Gunsmith covers from back in the day, which is just like a beautiful uniform pulp image that is slightly different each time, but you can tell they're from the same series. So it looks great on the bookshelf to get those.
Yeah. Have you guys heard of George Gilman and his Western series? He kind of. So I only bring it up because I think I've heard Don Pendleton brought up a lot in his Executioner series. George Gilman kind of has a similar thing going with a Western series that he has. He has like 50 or something books, but they're very much like action-packed revenge quests. This guy's just, I mean, they're pretty brutal as well, just like the Executional series. But yeah, it definitely reminds me of Don Pendleton, but a Western. So if that's up your guys' alley, that's another one that I've enjoyed as well. So
heck yeah.
Yep, that's it right there.
Very sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have heard of The Edge. Yep, I haven't read them yet, but they are some. I've heard there's some brutal action in those.
Oh yeah, like I think the first page of that book, I remember opening it up and it was like, this is not for the faint of heart or something. Like there was like a message in there.
Really?
And I was like, I'm more enticed now. I'm going to keep reading this. So yeah. So definitely interesting. So
that's a great looking cover too.
It is.
Jeez.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like if that movie comes out tomorrow, I want to see this thing. Honestly,
I'm lining it up.
I'm on the edge of being a loner.
Yeah. No, definitely check them out. They're pretty quick reads too, like small, quick little books. So.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, in that case, if anyone has any copies laying around they want to part with, send them my way. Let me know. Send me a DM. Slide it into those DMs, guys.
I think I have an extra copy of the first book. I'll have to maybe send it your way. Yeah.
Giddy up, man. See, there you go. There's my Western lingo starting to come out. This is great. Giddy up.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But yeah, this cover looks insanely good.
Yeah, they're awesome.
I want to hang this up on my wall. Like if this is a poster, I want this on my wall because it's saying, "Hey, I'm in a tight spot. I'm going to get myself out of it.
I'm going to shoot my way out of it."
Yeah.
Or shoot my way out of it.
Style.
Being perfectly blunt, Luke. Being perfectly blunt. Yeah, I'm going to shoot my way out of it. I'm not going to run my way out of it. No.
Yeah.
This guy's blasting. He's fanning the
Oh,
revolver and everything.
He's like,
That's pretty much every page of those books, man.
Oh, is that
He's
what it
just
is?
Oh, dude, he's just kicking ass,
Yeah.
man. Every page. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a fun read.
jeez, send me
Yeah.
more of this stuff. Just saying. But no, I'm not familiar with this gentleman's work. I can't wait to read it. By the way, Jeff is here. He says, "Hey boys, good to see everyone talking about my favorite genre."
Oh man, Jeff,
Yeah,
you're the
what's
man.
up, Jeff?
Good to see you, Jeff. Hope everything's well in your neck of the woods, man. If you got any recommendations for westerns, whether it's the novels, movies, TV series, let us know in the comments, Jeff, because you know a thing or two, because you've written a thing or two.
True.
We are Western fans. Dun, 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 dun. Sorry, that's I know
Mhm.
that's not a very good jingle. I apologize, but still, got to thank J. Jonah Jameson for making those commercials work. I want
Make-
Spider-Man. That's J.K. Simmons. I'm sorry. But no, great recommendations, guys. Great recommendations. Once again, if you're just joining us, we're celebrating all things Western. Let us know your favorites in the comments down below, whether it's a magazine article you came across, whether it's a book from an old school writer or modern day like T.G. Brown or Luke Goodrich, whatever. Just let us know in the comments in the chat. More than happy to hear from you. So outside of the books, because Lord knows we can talk about books for 50,000 years, some of your favorite Western themed movies there, Luke? Anything stand out to you?
Yeah, I mean, a lot stand out to me, but recently, The Tall T is one that I hadn't seen before, and I really enjoyed it. It was written, who's his name? T.G. Brown was talking about him on your guys' interview, and he wrote Justified is based off of as well.
But Elmore Leonard, right?
Elmore Leonard, yeah, it's an Elmore Leonard short story that was turned into the Tall T movie in like the 50s or so, and it was one of the best like classic westerns I'd seen in a very long time. So as far as like a new thing that's been standing out for me, that one, I think Django 1966 might be my favorite western of all time. I think that it's just like if I want to scratch the itch to watch a western, 9 times out of 10 I'm going to go to Django 1966 or Tombstone. Those are like my top 3 right now.
Nice, man. Good picks. What about you, TG? Any favorite Western movies that haven't been named as of yet?
Yeah, no, I think a lot of time I talk about Open Range a lot, but I think Open Range for me, I grew up with that one because I was old enough to experience that in theaters and get the full experience of the gunfight at the end of that movie, which is phenomenal. I really like Hombre. Again, to bring up Elmore Leonard, that's an Elmore Leonard book, but the movie was starring Paul Newman, I think back in the 60s. And that movie's aged so great as well. I watched that one a lot of times. It's such a good redemption type of story. And that one always resonated with me. And also the movie and the book, they are pretty similar as what happens. There's minor differences in the movie, but not enough to change the experience. Also a fan of Tombstone as well. I'd say that's up there for me. And then the new 310 to Yuma.
Nice. That is a classic. Ryan put me onto that one, the 310 to Yuma remake.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I would echo that. Yeah, when I think of the Western genre, when it comes to the movie part of it anyway, one of the first things that comes to my mind, to me, is a near perfect movie is 310 to Yuma with Christian Bale and freaking Russell Crowe just owning it.
Yeah.
I mean, he owns the bad guy role, and Christian Bale coming fresh off of Batman Begins, and he was also between shooting this and shooting Dark Knight when he was in 310 to Yuma. So hence the reason he has a little bit longer hair and he had the beard, so he had to like trim it and get rid of the facial hair when they were shooting Dark Knight, of course, because he's Bruce Wayne, he's a billionaire philanthropist. But yeah, 310 to Yuma is great. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. It's one of my favorite West. I think it's in my top. It may, like, as far as like modern day Westerns go, it may be my number 1 favorite, if not my number 2. I'm trying to think. I have to go back and look at my rankings list. But 310 to Yuma is solid, man. I mean, you get so much in that movie. It's a 2-hour movie, but it just goes.
Right. And the character work in that is incredible, not only from the writing standpoint, but so you guys already mentioned the actors are just about as strong of actors you can put in a film. So they make all those well-written characters come that much more alive.
Yeah. Especially Ben Foster. I mean, he doesn't get a ton of screen time, but
he owns it, man.
He's a menace, man. Like, I love how menacing he is in that role. So yeah, great pick.
Him and Hell or High Water as well. He knocks that out of the park.
Yeah,
that's another one. Yeah, and I believe he plays Charlie in 310 to Yuma. Charlie is his name.
Yep.
Charlie, boys. Yeah. It was like, so menacing. By the way, Jeff is in the chat. He goes on to say, just picked up the renowned Western set from Criterion. Can't recommend it enough. Very tough noirish Western films. Also, check out Warlock, great Western novel, as well as movie from the 1950s.
I'll have to check out Warlock because the Renowned Westerns is where that Tall T comes from. They like did a bunch of movies together, and they were called the Renowned Westerns. And I heard each one of them is awesome. Like Winchester 73, I think is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I've only watched the Tall T so far, so Jeff, I'm gonna have to get on the rest of them and get into them.
That's it. Yeah. Very good point. Very good point. Some guy named Nate Hummel. I don't know who he is, but he just walked into this chat. He says, "Man, just a bunch of studs in the chat and on the podcast." Yeah, you're welcome,
my man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just like the gift says, my man. Yeah, Nate, good to see you, brother. Hope everything's well in your neck of the woods. Well done rolling up your sleeves so that your family doesn't make fun of you for wearing a Walter White shirt when you're going out and about with family and friends. Because he posted that in the Discord. I don't know if you guys saw that or not, but got himself a new shirt. The wife was like, "You look like Walter White," and then he rolls up the sleeves like, "Nope, not Walter White anymore. Not happening." So
Daniel's the ultimate stud. He could pull off whatever shirt. He was wearing the red.
Is that what it was?
The red. Well, this is from the 1 year podcast for Men's
Adventure.
He was wearing the one that was called out to look like the chipmunk in Chippendales or whatever. And he pulls that off too. Makes it look absolutely sick. So fantastic.
Good. I mean, what was I going to say earlier? Good God. Good stuff. Good stuff. Let's see. What else are people saying here? Jeff goes on to say the other Renowns are great, man. All fantastic films. Also, check out all the Westerns made by Anthony Mann and Jimmy Stewart. All great as well.
I have heard that those are good too. Jimmy Stewart is a great actor. I remember seeing Mr. Smith Goes to Washington or something like that back in like 8th grade history class, and I was like, this guy rules. I went on to watch a few more of his movies, but missed his Westerns somehow.
No, there was a Western he did with John Wayne, and I'm blanking on the name, but it is an absolute classic.
Oh, Who Shot Liberty Valance? Or the man who shot Liberty
Valance? Yes, that one is highly regarded by everyone. I enjoyed it. I remember watching that when I was really young with my dad, and that was I loved it as a kid, but I'll have to revisit that one again.
All right. Yeah, Jimmy Stewart. I mean, he's in my favorite Hitchcock movie, Rear Window.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, with him and who was his love interest in that one? Grace Kelly of Monaco. One of the most beautiful, drop dead gorgeous women I've ever seen in my life. Gone too soon, I might add. She passed away far too soon. Very, very sad about what happened to her. But Grace Kelly, her performances live on in both that and what was the other movie I watched? The first Hitchcock movie I ever saw was To Catch a Thief with her in it.
Nice.
Yeah, did you guys ever see To Catch a Thief? It's really good.
I don't think so.
All right, well, once again, add this to your date night movie repertoire, fellas.
But Swingers first.
Yeah, well, that is priority one, but after that, you should watch To Catch a Thief from Alfred Hitchcock. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I'm just gonna flood your inbox with movie recommendations for the next 20 years. But it's all good because we're all family here. We all care about each other. Let's see. Nate Hummel has a question. He says, how do you guys define Westerns? What is the difference between wild Westerns, classic Westerns, and historical Westerns? Nate, that is an SAT times a billion hard.
I know.
I don't know how we're going to answer this, but does anyone want to take this one up first? I mean, I'll repeat it for the audience, for those of you watching and listening to us at home. How do you guys define Westerns? What is the difference between wild Westerns, classic Westerns, and historical Westerns? Luke, Film at 11, your thoughts.
Yeah, so I'll pull up the number 2 pencil here and try to take a crack at this. This would take a lot of time to really get into, but
seriously.
Nathaniel and I kind of had this conversation with each other and I think we mentioned this to you, TG, of like kind of having an existential crisis about what is a Western when we were doing the Western Short Film Festival and doing the Western Short Story Collection with everybody involved in that. It's like the Western is so versatile that people sometimes from the outside, if you just think Western, you might lump it into whatever Clint Eastwood is, but it actually is so wide scoping that there are so many stories that could just define themselves as Western by whatever, whether it's a survival Western or classic Western or historical fiction that just happens to take place in that time period. So I think to answer the question and not answer it at the same time, it's like I feel like you can't really define the Western, and that's what makes it so long-lived, in that there's so many of them, we never get tired of them, is you could just keep spinning different yarns that are all essentially American mythology. Like it's our Odysseus, it's our samurai flick, it's our hero in our time period. So just like the creation of the West is so huge and grand, and that's what makes it, I think, so enduring.
Yeah, no, it's a really good answer there. And that's kind of along the same lines for me as well. As like, I don't know, like historical westerns, I often think of the more real life, authentic western, something that really follows what it was truly like in those times. And then like the classic westerns, I think more of the spaghetti western, of those like the older movies that were such a big influence in pop culture, And then was it Wild West ones? I don't know. I think that for me, it's like, dude, you give him a cowboy hat and a 6-shooter, like Luke was saying, and I'm like, yeah, it's a western. Like, like Justified, for example, it's set in our time era, but like that feels like a western. It feels like a cowboy laying down the law in the Wild West. I think part of it too in a western is it's like society is struggling, and there's got to be a band of people to help out. I think that's always a good trope of the western. But yeah, it's so versatile. It's like, who am I to sit here and say what defines it? I think there's so many, like we were talking about last night, Ryan. There's horror westerns. There's the action adventure westerns. There's thriller western, mystery westerns. It's probably the most versatile genre there is. I'd say, you can do so many different takes on the western genre. But yeah.
Yeah, I can't answer this question because I'm not that smart. But T.G. Brown and Luke are way smarter than me, and they got more experience under their belt with making Western movies and writing Western books. And I'm just a simple man trying to make his way in the universe. # those are the facts of this case, and they are undisputed. So I can't really piggyback and add anything that's already been said. So I just won't bother and burn people's eardrums out with that. But I will say, if I had to define them, I would say Wild Westerns is nothing but shootouts and no character work. Classic Westerns are like, John Wayne, Eastwood, spaghetti Westerns, that kind of deal. And then historical Westerns are basically anything set in the 1800s. There's no other way I can put it. I mean, that's just how I define it. Because like I said before, I'm not that smart as T.G. Brown and Luke Goodrich over here. But that's my 2 cents.
That's a good question. Yeah, it's a really good question.
It's very
thought-provoking.
It's a deep thinking of a deep thought of a question. So Nate, if you and Luke want to answer that on another future episode of the Men's Official Fiction podcast,
it'll take about 7 episodes, probably.
I mean, if you want to, I'll tell you what. If it takes 7 episodes, it takes 7 episodes. If you want to have other panelists on the show to help answer the question along with you, like T.G. Brown and myself, give us a call. We'll be there.
Oh yeah, dude. We're gonna have the Western Short Film Festival again next year, so maybe we'll try to define it and have all the different people who did the short story collection and the short films for that year all do like a panel and episode. There's a lot we could do with it. It'd be fun.
Wow, wheels are already turning. It's not even next year yet. Jeez. I mean, the only thing I can say about the Western genre, anything that happens in it, it was justified. So there you go. I'll leave it at that. Boom. Raylan Givens, we love you, man. If you haven't seen that show yet, check out. Well, we'll get to that in a minute, but Justified's a really good one. Let's see. What else? Nate says Rear Window is fire, and yes, Grace Kelly is a stunner. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. She was, always has been, always will be. So, Grace Kelly, we miss you, and we're gonna keep your movies, and we're gonna keep watching your movies and keep your legacy alive. That is for sure. Jeff goes on to say, to me, the Western is America's mythology. Wyatt Earp is our King Arthur. The Wandering Gunfighter is our knight errant. It's a setting for storytelling, but it can be, hopeful, gritty, or anything else.
Yeah, that's a huge point. They're deceptively deep, I think. Westerns sometimes get lumped into like, oh, that's just schlocky action stuff. Not really. I mean, like the 3 Louis L'Amours I showed are all wildly different and have deep messages. Like Lonesome Gods is about community, like family and education. You got Hondo being about like the nuclear family and what it means to take on the responsibility of being a man. And you got Lando, which is just like the classic adventurer Western, like young man going into his warrior phase of life. Like it's all the only 3 that I just showed, like not selected on purpose, but they're each of them have a different flavor and a message in and of themselves. So I think that's why this genre is deceptively deep, and it should get more credit than it does.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and I like what Jeff said about it being like the gunslingers being the knights of the Wild West. I always love that kind of mythos around the Wild West gunslinger. I think that is very true. There's Viking folklore, there's Native American warriors and whatnot, but the gunslinger was ours. And I think that's a very interesting way to look at it, and it's not necessarily the way I think everyone looks at it, because I think in a lot of Westerns, people just picture the clean cut guy who never gets dirty or his hands dirty like a knight or a Viking would, but that wasn't the case. I think in real lifetime, like they were very similar in a lot of ways.
It's very true. It's very true. And it's funny he brings up Wyatt Earp's our King Arthur's. I mean, he's just gonna grab his rifle, look dead into the camera, and say, "You tell him I'm coming. Tell him I'm coming, and hell's coming with me." You know, it's just. I mean, do you want to? I mean, would King Arthur say that? I mean, I don't know if he would or not, but maybe he would. I don't know.
He might. If you were thrown into the Wild West, probably.
Probably.
Then dead or ride, baby.
It's right. It's one or the other, TG. We can't have it both ways. But yeah, no. That's a great analogy, by the way, Jeff. That you're saying that Wyatt Earp's our King Arthur. That is a fair point. That's a really fair point. So,
yeah, Jeff's a smart guy. Like I was saying, that guy's a PhD on westerns. It feels like I gotta get a book about westerns from Jeff. You know. I'd read the heck out of that.
Yeah, Jeff, are you writing a textbook about westerns? Because if you are, let us know. We'll buy copies of it off of Amazon and KDP, and then we'll get you a booth at all these other shows so you can sell copies of your books, including the Longwood Trail, which is a really good one, by the way. So just throwing it out there. We're giving you some kudos here, Jeff, because we love you, brother. But no, good picks by all. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the movies, 310 to Yuma stands out. I mean, and I've mentioned this on a few other shows where westerns just seem to come up. They don't come up all the time, but western doesn't come up all the time. But in certain cases, I've brought up The Quick and the Dead with Sharon Stone. We've brought up Unforgiven. We bring up this Sergio Leone's and Ennio Morricone's the spaghetti westerns, the Dollars trilogy, right? You know, Man with No Name trilogy, as it is also called, with Eastwood. You know, and speaking of classic films, a lot of people say that A Fistful of Dollars is a remake of Akira Kurosawa's Yojimbo.
Right.
So there's that. So you got to take that into consideration. But when you're wearing a poncho and a 6-shooter and looking like that, you can pretty much do whatever you want and get away with it. I mean, honestly, if I were wearing that costume at a convention or an event, I would feel like I would feel like I'm 6'5". 220 and just ready to lay down the law.
I'd feel like TG Brown, dude.
Honestly,
I'd do some muscle up.
Yeah,
I'd hit some muscle ups with pure confidence.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Oh my goodness!
I know.
Killing me.
Well, hey, TG, maybe the next time you go to a signing, you should dress up as the Man with No Name.
Oh, I'll put it on the docket. See what the wife thinks. She's in charge of marketing, so
that's
she
true.
might talk me out of it.
And she does a tremendous job with marketing. I want to say.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Got to give the missus some kudos here because she's just doing a wonderful job in the marketing department, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. She's awesome. I'm a lucky man.
We're learning a lot too from Instagram. Thank you for sharing the tips.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, no, she comes up with one every couple of days to get out there, and like I said, we've learned a lot together. But she is as dedicated to the marketing as I am to the writing, and it's a good marriage,
right?
I don't think we planned that when we got married. To be honest, I kind of always told her I wanted to write books, and she was like, yeah, that's cool, but it was never talked about. And then once we got closer to the date that I was going to publish my first book, she was just kind of like, okay, I'm doing this. And she just got super interested in the market and how it works and all that. And then we started studying it together, and it was cool. So now it's just like this awesome thing we get to do together. And it's cool because we get to share our passions. So
yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. Very.
Yes, that's awesome.
Place clip. What?
I had to because it's because it is awesome. It really is. Didn't mean to cut you guys off there in mid-sentence, but
no, that's cool. But to get back on the Western topic here.
Yeah, movies. If you want to drop any more titles here.
No, I was just thinking about Luke brought up that sometimes they don't get the credit that they deserve, and I really agree with that statement because I've learned a lot, the meaning of life in some of these books, super deep, thought-provoking things, and some of the best stories about redemption, and I think those are themes that we can all get behind it and all relate to, because we've wanted to find redemption. I'm sure everybody at some point in their life has been like, man, I need to redeem myself in some shape or form, and I think that those stories in the Wild West, where I think there's something to be said about a society where not everybody's watching, and what do you do when nobody's watching you? I think that really determines who you are as a human being. That saying is who you are when nobody's watching you. And and I think the West was a primary time for that because there wasn't social media, there wasn't cameras everywhere. You know, you would leave town and there'd be no civilization, and you know, you would either choose to help somebody if you came across something bad happening, or you keep riding on. You know, and I think all those things are very relatable and hit us to our core. And I think that, like I said, like Luke brought up Louis L'Amour books, you know, I also am a big fan of him. Flint, I remember reading the book Flint by Louis L'Amour. And when I read that book, the main character, he is sick at the beginning and he's kind of down on, you know, obviously he has kind of a death sentence with his sickness. And as the story goes, he really finds himself and he finds the meaning of like life, and amongst a lot of other awesome action-packed scenes in that book. But I think that fascinates me the most about the Western genre. So yeah, just wanted to touch on that because yeah, when Luke said that instantly struck a chord for me, because I was like, yeah, that's 110% correct. When people sit there and say it's just, you know, gunfights and action, it's like that hasn't been my experience anyway. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's like moral philosophy a lot of the time, and to your point, teaches so much. It taught me so much, like as a young man, about who I want to be and ideals to live up to. And I remember my first touch point with the genre was Red Dead Redemption, the video game. And to your point that you brought up about like when no one's looking and what do you do when you have decisions, well, those blue dots that pop up of like the random side quest of like someone with a broken wagon wheel or something. And it's just, yeah, the genre has always made you think like who are you when no one's looking, and like how do you respond when there's so much adversity? And like resilience is something that each one of these Western characters has in abundance, and resilience has always been like a major theme in my life because my heart condition and things like that, I've always resonated with that. But the land itself and the world you're in is so brutal in Westerns. It's so tough. It's always trying to kill you. We don't have AC and things like that. And so just seeing characters like break themselves against the world and sharpen themselves into something better. I think it's I think it was Nathaniel Hummel actually who said, like, if you didn't have a father, didn't have like a role model growing up, you could probably hand someone a stack of like 50 Louis L'Amour books as a young man and be like, this would teach you basically what you'll need to know about being a good man and having strong character.
Yeah.
Valid points. I can't add anything to that. I don't even know why I'm here. I think Luke and TG should. Honestly, I have no business. I have no business being in this studio, much less this show, because Luke and TG know way more than the average bear, and I am not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I'm just not. But I am in the process of learning, and I'm attempting to learn because I got all these books behind me. Some of them are, yes, Louis L'Amour books. There's no doubt about it. And then more coming my way. Hashtag it's good to have friends in high places such as Luke Goodich. You know, so I'm just saying. So, you know, I hope to like fully understand why people love Louis L'Amour and like Jack Carr and who was the other one we brought up? Kai Klessler, all these different writers so much because they've been coming across my desk for so long. It's like, okay, Ryan, you got to tattoo this into your brain, bro. Do the work, do some heavy lifting, do some squats. I don't know, do something. Be a CrossFit athlete like TG over here for some odd reason. I don't know why, but.
And you got to give yourself credit because you wrote The Wolf of the West, and that shows your knowledge of the West as well. And the Western, you know, great story.
I mean, you know, first thing I ever did when I started writing way back when during the pandemic, this is when we were all in lockdown, folks. I was a Western because I was watching movies and I was watching the Western genre. And I really enjoyed it. I was like, you know what? Why can't I write a Western story? Why not? I don't. There's so many different things you can do with it too. There's a couple of different ways you can create it, right? So I wrote it, but it ended on a cliffhanger, and I'm like, doggone it, there's no beginning, middle, and end. I can't publish this because it ends on a cliffhanger. Dang it! And then I went to a writer's coma for 5 years, and then I joined this little thing called the Men's Adventure Fiction Discord. When I started talking to all these wonderful people that we see in front of our screens right now on this Western special presented by And Quote Channel, and then all the other people in the Discord, I started hearing people's idea, you know, just listening to people, learning from people, and hearing all this stuff. And then who was it that we spoke about at one point or another? I think it was Brina who brought this up. Brina Williamson. So first of all, she's a writer. Second of all, she does all her own artwork for her books, which is insane.
Right. Look how good that is.
Look at this. I mean, this is a movie that should be coming out tomorrow.
Right.
Like, honestly. But anyway, so Brina posts a piece of music in the Music for Adventure thread, which is in the Discord that we're in. And as soon as the music plays, my creative wheels all of a sudden started turning again. And I thought to myself, ooh, this is good music. I got an idea for a treasure hunter story. Let me set it in the 1980s. And then I had an idea for a Western because at the time, Veritas Entertainment was looking for submissions for this Western themed anthology, which is coming out July 22nd. And I threw my name in the hat like a bunch of other writers did. And little did I know, my story, one of 14 other stories got picked. And now I'm going to be a published author for the first time. And if you had told me this 30 years ago, I would have said you were nuts. So, because I'm very good at verbalizing, fellas. I'm very good at jibber jabbering, but apparently I was good enough to write something down on paper/laptop screens, and it got submitted, and now I'm the world champ.
All right, you guys can read it on the 22nd. It's awesome.
Yeah, all my friends and family have already said they're going to get either the ebook or the paperback or the hardcover. They're going to get it. Yeah,
awesome.
It's coming. Yeah, and I said, listen, if you want me to sign yours and you can sell it on eBay for $1 million and make some money off of it, go right ahead. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joshing on that part. But yeah, Western Tales is coming out. We'll talk more about it later. But yeah, we're all excited here. We're all excited. So nice little feather in my one's cap. Sorry, this is not the Ryan Appreciation Show. This is about the Western genre as a whole. Do not forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below if you're watching us live or what is known as a replay. Thank you so much for doing that. We got a lot of people chiming in the chat, so let's bring this up for a minute. Nate Hummel says, since you both are coming off releasing two of the best Westerns I've ever read, was there anything you felt you had to have in your Western story, TG?
Something that I had to have in my Western
story. Yeah.
I would say there was multiple things I felt like I had to have, but one thing was just a theme, a really good theme woven in with all the characters. And that theme was definitely redemption. And then the next theme was honor and justice. So that was the main themes I wanted to weave in there. And then of course I wanted to have a good gunfight. You got to have a good action sequence to be a Western. You know, you got to have that satisfying finale, I think. And so I wanted those two things to be in there for sure. And then I wanted this Western to really shock people in a way that Westerns haven't shocked people in a long time. And so I wanted to write twists and things like that people weren't expecting. So I'd say those, I know he asked for one, but all those definitely tied for me when I went into writing this story. I was like, this is going to be a Western that is, you know, cut from the same cloth of a lot of Westerns before it, but also has a new twist on the tale. So not recreating the wheel, but just trying to make it fresh and feel new. So yeah.
Thank you.
Nice stuff. What about you, Luke? How would you answer your co-host / best friend's question?
Yeah, first off, too kind, Nathaniel. Relax. Best Western ever read. Let's too kind. But thank you. That was a great answer, TG, and I really, it got me thinking too of, you know, what I'm going to say is not just me saying what was in my book, but what I think modern Westerns offer. You know, because people might think, oh, the genre has been around for that long. Even one author wrote over 100 books in the Western genre. Maybe I don't need to read Westerns anymore. Maybe they're all tired. But I think what you just explained about not reinventing the wheel, but we're in a really good place where we have all of this Western, and it helps modern stories kind of in the Western genre play with the audience in a way that like the older ones couldn't do, because we're playing off of their expectations and the tropes, and we can take things and kind of bait someone into thinking we're going this way and you could turn this way. And I think that's what makes your story so good. And to answer Nathaniel's question, what I was trying to do with mine, like the one thing I wanted to have was uncertainty, where I wanted to lay that groundwork of like, oh, this is just about as classic of a Western you can get. This is like super generic, and then slowly make them uncertain about things and be like, oh, wait, okay, never mind. We're going somewhere completely different. And by the very last page, I want people to be like, I don't understand. Like now I'm questioning a bunch of things like morality, justice, about like my values. I'm reconsidering what I thought about the character, that kind of thing. So modern Westerns, I think it's fun to be able to play off of the past in that way.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. Well said. Yeah, I definitely felt that when I read Gun Law. It was definitely, that's how I felt at the end of the book. So I'd say you executed that perfectly. The finale of that book, Gun Law, for those that have not read it, you're in for a treat. I was on the edge of my seat literally reading that, and I was like, I don't know if they're going to make it. Like I was so invested by the end of that story. So well done. Get yourself a copy. I'm telling you guys, it's I'm not just saying that. I honestly believe it is so good. I was very, very, very impressed.
Thank you, man. And to speak of the versatility, you got a short action adventure with mine, but TG's yours is like literature. There's a lot of character work and like the more the heavier themes, and it's more of a philosophical piece than mine. I feel like yours is really great for a reader who doesn't want like wall to wall action. You want to breathe with the characters. You have some of the greatest character work in Westerns right now, which is hard to do. Certainly hard to do. So great work.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Female characters too, man, women,
dude,
coming together. Great characters.
Like of what I've read of Cut Them Down so far, like the male characters, all the female characters are just as strong, if not stronger, than the male characters. Like they are taking no prisoners. Like they are just like, this is how I feel. I'm gonna say it. I don't care what people think. And the way you write it, where the chapters aren't very long, they just go quick, right into the next one. I'm like, oh my gosh, I could forget about this taking me 5 years. This could take me like an hour, and I can read this because it moves, man.
Right. Well, it looks longer, but it reads like a
it's a thick book. I'm not gonna lie. If I took it, it's like, what is it, like 400 some odd, something like 380, 400, something like that. But it moves, man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate that. As much as I'd want to take all the credit for the female characters, I can't. I mean, I had a lot of help with the female characters, naming my wife, obviously. And also, my mom, she actually helped me a lot with it too, because my mom actually grew up watching Westerns with my dad. So really just like basing it off of those two characters and then researching what it was like to be a woman in the Wild West was something important to me that I wanted to showcase. But yeah, it's definitely my longest book. And I don't know if I didn't really have that intention when I went to write this book, but it just kind of you have to do justice to the story, and I think that's how it ended up going so long. And I think there's some pretty big events in the book, so if I'm going to go and up the stakes that high, I really need to dive into all that. So yeah, no, I appreciate the kind words, guys. Really, it means a lot. So thank you.
Yeah. Quite welcome, man. Plus, I got the Johnny Cash theme rolling in the back of my mind sometimes when I'm reading the flipping book, because it's there in the title, at least to a certain extent. I'm sorry, but also Jeff is here. He says, think of the mythology of the Buntline Special, a custom weapon with attributes that make it both a rifle as well as a handgun. Excalibur is a custom-made weapon that acts as both shield and a sword.
Nice. There you go, Jeff. That's the big brain working again, dude. I'm telling you.
I know. I was gonna say, he's an encyclopedia, man.
Honestly, are you writing a book or something?
Yeah, please write. Write that book. Drop the link in the comments.
Please do. Yeah, and by the way, this goes for anybody who's a writer. If you got a book that's in the Western genre, or someone that you know of who's written a book recently that's out, or something that's been out for a bit, drop those links in the comments down below. We want to hear from you, fellas. We want you to promote all of your books or your works as much as possible. Male, female, doesn't matter. If you've written a Western, something that's Western themed or got Western elements, drop a like in the comments. We want to hear it. We want to read it. We want to see it. So, Jeff, Nate, all you fine fellas and gals, drop all the links. Do it to it, laws. Once again, this is a Western themed celebration of the genre. Don't forget to like and share this with your friends. If you're joining us live on the replay, hello there. If you got any comments, questions, concerns, maybe not so much concerns, because we're not concerned about how horrible my knowledge of Western is here compared to these two fine gentlemen. But if you have any questions, regardless, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. But yeah, as far as other movies go, yeah, the remakes of the Grits, the 3:10 to Yumas, the Magnificent Seven, which we played at the top of the hour, top of the show. Those are some of my favorites that stand out. For a Few Dollars More is my favorite of the Dollars trilogy with Clint Eastwood, respectively. I mean, all three of them are good in their own way. Don't get me wrong. But For a Few Dollars More is my favorite of those three. I mean, that's one that stands out. Trying to think if I'm missing any of them. Trying to think. I mean, someone brought this up in the Discord. I think it was you, TG. Didn't you say that Logan's a Western? So
yeah. I mean, it is.
We can throw it in there. I mean, it's a Western that just happens to have comic book movie elements.
Yeah, they said that they really, like, the director of that movie,
James Mangold.
Yeah, he really drew a lot of inspiration from the Western Shane, which is also a book. I think the author's name's Jack Schaefer.
And they show it in the Logan movie.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I was just gonna say that. Yeah, and they pay homage to it. And so, and when you read that book and then you go back and watch Logan, which I happened to just do recently, I was like, oh, I'm definitely seeing the connections, even though Logan's set in like 2029 or something, and Shane clearly isn't, but it definitely has the redemption, old cowboy type of feel that you look for in a Western. So
it's very true, very true.
Yeah.
And it's one of the better comic movies we've had in the last 20 years. So
Oh yeah. My favorite one of all time.
Out of all of them?
Yeah, I think I just rewatched it recently, and I'm still like this. I think it aged the best because of the themes of that movie, in my opinion. Like the character work and where his like, I almost didn't want them to do Deadpool and Wolverine because
Right.
of how perfectly they that spoiler, how they tied off that story with Hugh Jackman at that character. It was such a perfect send off for him. And anyways, yeah, so for me it is because it's aged so good, and it really puts the genre on its head. I mean, it's a superhero movie that basically is a Western. Like, come on, like let's do this. Like that's what I'm thinking. That's how I look at it now. And like I said, watched it like last weekend, I think, and it still is good. My wife hadn't seen it, and she was in tears by the end of it. And she was like, she was so into it. And and she's not the biggest fan of Westerns, but she was, that one, she was totally 110% invested. So
great.
Yeah.
I mean, great movie. And Daphne Keane is X-23. Good Lord.
Yeah.
She should have gotten an Oscar nod for that performance. She was so good.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Daphne Keane is as the runaway who also possesses adamantium powers. I'm just like, that girl is only like 10, 11 years old, but she is a spitfire. She's gonna go far, and she has. She's done TV series, she's done other movies, she has other performances out there that people can movie performances people can check out. So Daphne Keane, well done, but they should have made a spin-off with her character. I would have liked to have seen what her and those little mutants were doing at the end of Logan. You know what I mean, TG?
Yeah.
I would like to. I would have liked to have seen a new era of mutants, like an X-Men evolution type thing.
Yeah, for sure.
If you're familiar with the property, you know what I'm saying. Yeah. Can we get Daphne Keane to come back and do an X-23, like leading a new group of mutants? Just do it.
They might come around.
It would be nice. I mean, she shows up in it's minor spoiler. She shows up in Deadpool and Wolverine. So,
right.
And she's grown up too. It's like, oh my gosh, it's been like 6, 7, 8 years since we last saw you. Good Lord, look how tall she's gotten.
Yeah, that threw me off too.
It was weird, right? And then she puts on the same shades and the same outfit, just in a different size because she's taller now.
Yeah,
I thought it was crazy, but that's just me. That's just my 2 cents. Sorry, not to get off the wagon or the rails here. Fire up the Iron Horse, boys. Here's a movie I just saw not too long ago for the first time. Both of them actually. Young Guns 1 and 2.
I like those. Those are cool.
Those are fun movies too.
I heard they're making a third one. There's a rumor.
30 years later.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably should have done it 25 years ago when the actors were a lot younger, but still,
But can't get enough Billy the Kid, Can't get enough.
Like most of the characters died off at the end of the second one, so I don't know how they're going to bring them all back. But hey, if anyone can do it, it's Emilio.
Those are fun movies too. I like the characters, like in the beginning, learning how to box and everything like that. That's a cool beginning to that first one.
I like them both for different reasons, but I think I like Young Guns 2 more than the first one. I don't know why. I just think I do. And the other thing is, you get the Blaze of Glory by our good friend Bon Jovi in there. So
yeah.
You guys ever find yourself listening to that?
Oh yeah.
It's a good one. Just throwing that out there. But Western movies are great. But I'm just curious, Luke, do you have any favorite Western themed TV series, whether they're from the 19 so and so decade or something that's in modern times? Anything stand out?
I really like Cheyenne and Have Gun Will Travel. They're like 2 older Western TV shows that still hold up really, really well. Especially Have Gun Will Travel with Paladin. They going off the night motif that Jeff brought up earlier. That's literally what they like. The whole theme song and everything is playing off the fact that he's like the knight in the Wild West, and he wears all black, so he's a little bit like Batman. And it's a really, really great TV show. But then, of course, in the modern age, you've got Longmire and all the stuff that Taylor Sheridan's brought out, like 1923 and 1883. They're fantastic Westerns in the modern age. I'm trying to think. Oh, of course, the Western TV shows, I think, as well. So those will get you far, and you could watch those for hours. I mean, Cheyenne and Have Gun Will Travel. There's probably dozens and dozens of episodes that are readily available for you to YouTube, even.
Probably look these up. Just throwing it out there. What about you, TG? Any Western themed TV series, past or present, stand out to you?
Yeah, one that's coming to mind's not too old. It's probably about 5-6 years ago. But Godless, it was a Netflix show. It's like it was just a limited series that they had one season of it. I really liked what they did with it. They blended classic Western genres with a little bit of nuanced feel to it. And that was. And then another one that just came out recently was American Primeval. I really liked that one. It was a pretty intense watch for sure. But what I really appreciated about American Primeval is it really made you feel like how hard it would be to live in those times. Like if you got injured, that was a problem. You know what I mean? You really had, if you were up in the mountains and you got cold, if you were just surviving a snowstorm, you couldn't just go jump in a hot shower. There was a lot of different things about that show that it really illustrated how tough those times were. And it definitely felt like a Mad Max type of world in the Wild West, which is kind of what I imagine sometimes what it'd be like out in this vast world. So anyways, I'd have to go with those two shows.
Well, the fact that American Primeval stars Riggins himself, Taylor Kitsch, I mean, I gotta see this now, man.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
The fights are brutal, man.
That's what I was gonna bring up, dude. The fights are awesome.
Yeah, he goes all out, and it just feels very realistic and gritty when they fight in that show. So and also the strong female characters in that show too. The mother has a kid that they're trying to travel from one place to another, and it's a very good mother dynamic in that show. And Godless is actually that show revolves around a town of women because there was a mining accident. There's men in the show. There's a few survivors, but really the plot of it is that this town was a mining town, and all their husbands worked in the mine, and then there was an accident that was terrible, took all their husbands away. They all passed away from the accident, and so now this town is left with a bunch of women who have to learn to survive in the West, obviously on their own, but there's still a couple of men that survived that didn't work in the mine. So the sheriffs and deputies, they weren't a part of the accident, so they're around, but it's primarily women. And it's a very interesting show because you not only see it from the women's side, you see kind of a couple other characters, because there's a male protagonist who is an outlaw who stumbles into this town. He's on the run from this gang, and he kind of comes under the protection of this female driven town. And it's just a very nuanced idea, I thought, and I really liked how they wove it in there, all the characters and whatnot, and how the action transpires towards the end was super satisfying.
Now I gotta see the trailer for this, because that is an intriguing premise in itself, and the poster alone over there that we just saw, that looks good.
Yeah, it was definitely a really good watch. It starts out a little bit slow because they're building the world, and trying to show you how different it is, and then once it starts going, it has a Jeff Daniels in it, who is a menacing bad guy, surprisingly.
Oh, really?
Really, seriously menacing is all hell in that show. But he's the one pursuing the male outlaw who stumbles into this town. So pretty much this guy's coming, and he's pretty much death incarnate. And once he gets to the town, it's like a showdown transpires, because they're protecting this outlaw, because this outlaw kind of learns about life while he's there and kind of finds a new meaning amongst this town of women. So it's a good show.
Ryan doesn't have Netflix. This makes me so sad. I need to get Netflix at some point or another, or talk to somebody about it. I need to see this stuff. I want to see American Primeval, and I definitely want to watch both that and Godless, and finish Longmire, because I'm only 4 seasons into Longmire. I need to finish all of that, and then I need to go and watch these two new ones, American Primeval you just spoke about, and Godless for sure.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, give me a call, Netflix. Give me an account. I'm just saying. Or somebody out there. You know what I'm saying. Let's see here. Jeff goes on to say, Western TV, Colt 45 is a fun, all-action half-hour show. Underrated show is A Man Called Shenandoah, if I'm saying that right, about a man with amnesia wandering the West to find himself. It inspired Longwood Trail, which is published.
Oh, cool.
I'll have to check that one out. I've not heard of that one. A Man Called Shenandoah. That's sick.
Shenandoah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll have to put that on my list.
It's a long list, TG.
It is. Not enough time.
Long list. It's a list.
Not a bad problem to have.
I guess not. I guess it depends on how you look at it, though, man. Just throwing it out there. Nate Hummel says there's also the Veritas Western Short Film Festival that people can check out on YouTube. Isn't that right, Luke?
True. It's like 10 submissions, I think, is around an hour and a half. So it'd be like watching one feature Western, but you get little vignettes of 10 different Western shorts, films brought to you by, local filmmakers, essentially. And Nathaniel Hummel stars in one. I'm in one. And then strangers that we never met before got to submit to, all over the map. So it's really, really worth your time. It's kind of like the other Netflix Western battle, or the Buster Scruggs. I forget what the first part of that, Ballad of Buster Scruggs, where you kind of have the different short stories in there. So it's short film. After short film, you guys can watch that on the Veritas Entertainment YouTube. If you just look up Veritas Entertainment Western Short Film Festival or some along those lines, you'll find it, and hopefully you enjoy it.
Yeah, I watched it. It was fun. It was good to see all these different actors, different storylines play out the way that they did. And I think it was it the Western Short Film Festival? Was it Dead Man's Hand? I think it was that won the competition. Is that right?
Last Hand, yeah, Last Hand won.
Sorry.
So they're getting the $500 and the custom belt buckle, so they get to wear their Western Veritas belt buckle, which I had never ordered a custom belt buckle, and it took way longer than I thought. So they have not gotten it yet, but it is it's being polished and shipped out now. Like, you can watch where they're at on the steps. So we'll definitely get pictures and stuff to show everybody what it looks like, because it's pretty cool. It says like Veritas Western Champion, and it has the guy on the horse and everything like that. It's a real custom belt buckle, but whoa, took way longer than I thought to make a custom belt buckle. So that's my bad.
Oh man, can't wait to see it though. The suspension is terrible. I hope it'll last. It's an old saying from Willy of Wonka, so just throwing that out there. Trying to think. Yeah, TV series. These are the ones I watched when I was a bit younger. Not too young, because I'm very old. But the Longmires, the Justifieds. Trying to think of some of the other ones that stood out. I think those are the two main ones. But Hell on Wheels. How can I forget Hell on Wheels? Hell on Wheels. That is pure Western. That is just pure, unadulterated, dirty, filthy. Nothing is what it seems. There are areas of gray. There's areas of redemption in this show. There's areas of really nasty people. I'm looking at you, Durant, you punk. If you really want to get into the Western genre, but you're not sure where to turn. I mean, there's so many different. There's no right or wrong way to do it. But Hell on Wheels is a 5-season. I think it was like 10 episode each season show, right, Luke? So it flies. It flies. And I think they're all self-contained seasons to a point. I mean, they still bleed over little things here and there in the next season. But if you just want to watch them as standalones, you can.
Anson Mount, too. Incredible actor.
Oh, my gosh, dude.
I wish he was in more stuff, dude, or more Westerns even. I just want more.
That guy was born to be in Westerns, honestly. I know he's living it up in the galaxy with Star Trek Strange New Worlds as Captain Pike, but...
Oh, is that what he's doing now?
Yeah, well, he's been doing that for the last 5 years. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know nothing about Star Trek, so that shows.
Yeah.
It's okay. That's what I'm here for. But yeah, no, he's playing Captain Pike in that series. It's doing quite well. I think they're coming up on their last season, though, Luke. So maybe when he's wrapped up his tenure on Star Trek, he can come back to the Western genre and grow his hair out, grow his thick beard out,
Here's a Western show that I can't believe we haven't brought up, because I just thought of it when you brought up Hell on Wheels. Sorry, Deadwood. Like, I can't believe I didn't think of this one, because Deadwood had a big effect on my book as well, because I liked how it was another authentic, like you were mentioning on Hell on Wheels, it's kind of grimy world of Deadwood. And that's a classic. Also, we talked about Justified, and the guy playing Timothy Olyphant, he's Sheriff Bullock in Deadwood, and he has a great role in that show. I really love Deadwood. I would say Deadwood had a huge effect on me growing up and watching that. It's a shame that they ended it after 3 seasons, in my opinion, but they tied it off with a movie, I think, more recently. And the movie did a really good job of tying off the loose ends of the series. But that one, top tier Western television. Like the dialogue, while it's not very appropriate for sure, but it is almost poetically inappropriate, if that makes sense. And so definitely recommend that one.
Classiest swearing you'll ever hear.
Really?
Like, oh my God, yeah, for sure.
Is I don't know if this is fair to say or not, but is it fair to say that Deadwood is kind of what Deadwood does for the Western, what Spartacus did for the sword and sandal genre? Does anybody remember the TV series Spartacus?
I do, yeah.
From Starz, what was the other one? Spartacus, Blood and Sand, and all that stuff. Does anybody remember that?
I do. It was a good
So
show.
is Deadwood what they did for what the same thing they did for Spartacus? It's a lot of swearing, a lot of violence, maybe some nude scenes that shouldn't be there. I mean,
I like Deadwood more than Spartacus, probably because
Okay,
Spartacus
fair enough.
leaned a lot into like this is essentially something we shouldn't be watching here.
Probably.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
Deadwood is more so like done.
Okay,
some
so
ratings.
what you're saying is between that and Spartacus, Deadwood is a bit more tamed than Spartacus is.
Probably. I mean, I haven't seen Spartacus in a while, and I've only seen a bit of Deadwood, so I could be completely misleading
What do
everybody.
you think, TG? What do you think?
I would say, I mean, I haven't seen Spartacus in a while either, but I would say from what I remember of Spartacus, there was like a bunch of unnecessary stuff in there that was inappropriate. I'd say is with Deadwood, the unnecessary stuff fits with the story, and it doesn't seem like thrown in your face. Like, okay, that's cool, I guess. You know what I mean? Like like when the violence happens, you're like, that makes sense. That it's in line with the story they're telling. So I would say that like Deadwood does it. I don't want to say classier, but they just do it in a way that's more authentic to the world and not so much for just shock value. You know, sometimes TV shows will just throw violence at you or nude scenes just to shock you or whatever because they don't know what else to write. But I'd say Deadwood is not like that. Deadwood has those scenes for sure, but it has a point and a meaning behind it, and it leads to the next scene or the next event. So, yeah.
All right, understandable. I have to check out Deadwood. I may have seen clips of it here and there. I think I watched one episode here and there, or an episode or two here and there, but I need to go back and Plus, it's got my boy Timothy Oliphant before he was Raylan Givens, so I got to give him credit, TG. So
yeah,
gotta get on that at some point. And yeah, I heard people were very upset when it got canned, but they wrapped it up with a movie, and I heard the movie was fine. It wasn't great, nothing to dance home about, but it wrapped up what it needed to do. So I'll sit down and watch it at some point. But yeah, no, Deadwood's been brought up a couple of times in my, from going over the Western genre as a whole. And for those of you just joining us, welcome to the Western genre being celebrated here at Anti-Quote Channel. Don't forget to like and share this. If you have any questions, comments about the genre, let us know down below in the chat. Let us know in the comments. If you're watching us live on the replay, thank you so much for doing that. We cannot do this without you. But yeah, Hell on Wheels is certainly one of my favorites shows because I'm actually in the process. I went back and I'm in the process of rewatching it. I'm in the middle of season 3 right now. It's been very, very good to me. Western, very, very good to me. It's Anson Mount, man. He just carries that thing.
Yeah,
so good, so good. Yeah. I mean, the cast is great. I mean, the guy who play I forget his name, Cole Meany plays Durant, right? So he does a great job as Durant. You get Common, the musician, as Liam. So it's so good, so good.
Yeah,
just throwing that out there. Yeah, and Christopher Heyerdahl from Smallville and other stuff. He plays the Swede, the antagonist.
Oh yeah,
dude, he is so annoying. Like I hate him so much.
So well written though.
But yeah, the actor eats up that role though. Yeah.
It would be apocalyptic, Mr. Bohannon. It's just Gosh, I hate that guy so much.
Yeah.
He gives me slight Judge vibes from like Blood Meridian. The Judge.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, he would be a good Blood Meridian. Don't I'm having flashbacks, PTSD from that. Yeah, that's a good similarity there.
I was reading Blood Meridian when I first started to watch that show, so I remember being like, "Whoa, that guy would fit."
Yeah,
I've also heard Vincent D'Onofrio would be a good Judge, but I don't know. It's going to be hard to adapt that movie. I know they're trying right now, but
they are trying
hard.
Oh. Yeah, it's going to be hard because of the violence in that book. I mean, is it's going to be hard to portray. Yeah, it's going to hard to be portrayed without putting off some people. I think I think Loogie said it before, but it's kind of the anti-Western, really.
Right.
It's set in the Western time, but I would classify it more as the anti-Western by where it goes with the story. So, yeah,
it's not. I wouldn't recommend. I mean, if you're just a literature fan, sure, but if you're a Western fan and want a good Western, I stay away from Blood Meridian because it is kind of like the antithesis of everything we're talking about with hopeful heroes and things like that. It's pretty grim stuff. A lot of Cormac McCarthy's stuff is pretty grim, and I have a hard time.
Oh, is it?
Getting through it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I prefer optimism, and he doesn't seem to prefer optimism.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, like it's one of the most historically accurate westerns, so I'll give it that. Like it was, and so I think when I read it from a standpoint as a writer and author, that was where I got something out of it more than a reader looking for entertainment or enjoyment. Because yeah, like Luke was saying, I wouldn't recommend to just a casual reader that's like, hey, I want to read a good western. No, it's definitely got some deep themes happening, not good themes for sure, but yeah, like they imply a lot of bad things that happen and sometimes show those bad things in very visceral ways where you're like, wow, that's horrible. And then the way it ends, it ends on a note where you're like, well, okay, that ruined my life, thank you. And yeah, so yeah, like I said, I had to change my thought process halfway through the book to be like, okay, this is research now, and this is not entertainment. And that's how I got through that book. Otherwise, I don't think I would have enjoyed it too much. But yeah.
Okay. Well, it's a good thing we didn't ask you the question. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Sorry, that's a different movie in a different genre, because what we do in life, fellas, what we do in life echoes in eternity. So, you know, I'm just throwing that out there, guys. I don't know if you guys have heard that before or not, but thank you, Russell Crowe. I mean, he was in The Quick and the Dead, so we got to give him credit where credit is due. He was Court in The Quick and the Dead, so I freaking like that. I love that movie. I know some people don't like it. It's a bit of a turnoff for them, but listen, it's a good. I think it's a good entry point for people getting into the Western genre for movie's sake. I think The Quick and the Dead's a good entry because I don't know of many Western movies that have quick draw contests that are like a through line throughout the entire movie like this one does. So, but that's just me.
Sam Raimi makes really good movies too that are just endlessly watchable.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you've heard the news that dropped not too long ago, but they're bringing back all 3 of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies in theaters coming up pretty soon. Did you guys get your tickets yet?
I have not gotten tickets.
Yeah, the entire Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy is going to be re-released in theaters.
Dang.
Oh wow!
So you can go back and relive we can relive our childhood, guys. Early 2000s, Nickelback saying that we need a hero with Chad Kroeger and Josie Scott doing the duet song. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
So good. It's a great song. I know some people don't like Nickelback as a whole, much less Chad Kroeger these days. But listen. The song is great. What the musicians did what they contributed to the film soundtrack was great. And if you grew up in the 2000s like the 3 of us did, you understand what I'm saying. So just throwing it out there. Jeff goes on to say, Blood Meridian is a masterpiece, but definitely shouldn't be the entrance point for the genre for people. Still, the Judge is one of the great villains of all of fiction.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, totally. I would say that's what I learned the most about is like how to write a very enticing and just terrible villain, like terrible in the best way. Like he's so menacing. Like every aspect of the Judge is just menacing, and he steps onto the page in a scene, and you're just like, you're worried. You're instantly scared. It could be a piece of dialogue. It could be a action sequence. It could be anything. Anything. He could be. There's a scene where he's quite literally dancing, and it's the most horrifying scene that I've ever read. He's dancing, but the way they describe him and the way he acts, and he walks around naked and stuff. It's weird, but like, yeah, he, like I said, I learned a lot about, I think Cormac McCarthy, actually, he does really good at writing very great villain. In fact, I think he falls in love with his villains more than his heroes when you go back and look at his books. Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like he falls in love with the villain more than his own hero, which, you know, hey, he's had a successful career with that. But definitely for me, I've learned a lot of like, okay, because you have to have I think your hero is only as good as your villain sometimes, you know, and if you have a good hero villain dynamic, I think that creates really good tension for a story. So definitely a good point there, Jeff, on that, because the Judge is definitely something that if you get anything from that book, it's definitely the Judge. Like anybody reading that book will be like, yeah, the Judge is a horrible human being. Right. And not only that, I think he's based on a real person, which is even more haunting.
Horrible.
That's messed up. I would say that's messed up, bro.
Yeah, it's horrible because actually Blood Meridian's based on a real gang, believe it or not.
I heard that, yeah.
Yeah, and Cormac McCarthy actually traced where they rode through the southern, the southwest area. It's crazy. And the thing about the Judge is he's not only brutal, he's like highly intelligent.
Yeah, he's super smart.
Languages, and that's what's scary is he's hanging out with these like behemoths. I mean, these Neanderthals I mean, they're not very intelligent group of outlaws, and he chooses to do it because he likes violence. And that's a very interesting dynamic that to put into a villain, because it's almost like a game to him, while the rest of them are fighting to survive every day, and he's just kind of like
enjoying.
He's enjoying it, and it's like, shit, man, like, it definitely is a good villain dynamic in that. And so, as a writer, definitely, if you're looking for a good villain in your next book and looking for ideas, that would be a good way to start.
And for the masterpiece part of this being a masterpiece, I mean, you got to give it credit. There's no book that pops up in my brain more often, like longevity wise, than that one. I feel like I'm thinking about Blood Meridian or Cormac McCarthy at least once a month, and I'm like, dang, what was up with that ending? Or like, whoa, that scene when the judge did that. It's just, well, no, he's like, I talk to people about this sometimes, where he's like he's the greatest bad writer and the worst best writer ever, because he writes so well, like truly, like from a literary standpoint, he writes better than like 99% of people I've ever read. But the stories he chooses to tell, I'm like, oh, I don't like this. Would you please put these powers that you have to something more enjoyable? But hey, everyone's got to write the books they want to write, and he did, and with some truly long-lasting longevity books that like The Crossing as well is phenomenal, but also just way too dark for me. So he's a very interesting guy. Cormac McCarthy, wow. I do talk about him way too often, and I'm finding myself just like of two minds with him. But speaking of Crossing and Cormac McCarthy and The Judge, has anyone here read Butcher's Crossing from John Williams?
I never heard of this one.
No, I've heard of it. I'm pretty sure they just turned it into a movie with Nicolas Cage, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they did turn it into a movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen the movie either. But no.
What's the premise? What are we looking at here?
They're like buffalo hunters.
Oh, sure.
And so this kid like leaves his Ivy League school. I forget which one. But he leaves his Ivy League school, and he's like, I want to experience the world. I want to like know what it's like to actually experience, not just be head knowledge. And he gets wrapped up with this buffalo hunting gang type of thing. It's similar to Blood Meridian in a lot of ways, but instead of what they're doing, like scalping in Blood Meridian, they're hunting buffalo. So it's got a little bit of like Moby Dick, where the main character is along with this guy, and I'm blanking on his name, but he's kind of the judge of the story, where he's also like the Ahab, where he just keeps driving them further and further out of greed to get more pelts and things like this. And they get trapped in this valley during winter, and it's like becomes this survival story as they're all going mad, and they're going to lose all their pelts anyway because it's winter. So it's just a really good counterpiece to Blood Meridian. I think they go really well together.
Yeah,
okay,
I'm not familiar with this one.
Yeah, that's good to know, because I was hesitant because I heard it was similar to Blood Meridian. So I don't know if
we want more darkness in my life.
Right. I was kind of like, I'll have it on my list, and when I'm ready to go through that again, I'll do it. For sure. Okay, yeah. I'll check that out then. That's good to know. That was the only thing holding me back, because I heard a lot about that book, and I was like, if it's
I don't want to feel sad and out of place and think to myself, do I just need to leave this earth, or do I need to go somewhere else? What am I doing?
Yeah, I don't need another. Okay. All right. Good to know.
We'll have to keep that in mind as we roll along. Goodness gracious! Wow. Okay. Well, we've named a lot of movies, TV series, all that stuff, but I'm just curious though. I know we've kind of danced around it. We've kind of gone into some of the reasons we enjoy this thing, but I'll throw this question out to the field if you don't mind. Out of all the genres that are out there, there's so many different genres of storytelling, so many different genres of books, different, obviously there's different genres of movies, TV series, all that kind of stuff. But what is it, Luke, about of all the genres that you've read about, you've seen on television, you've seen in movies, maybe you've read about them in articles somewhere here and there, and which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But of all the genres, why the Western? Why do you love the Western so much? Why is it? What is it about the Western that just says, if I'm going to read anything for the next 5,000 years that I'm on this, or maybe not 5,000, I'm sorry, that's a long number. But of all the genres, why the Western? Why?
I think the very personal idiosyncratic reason for me is the resilience and self-reliance that you can get in these books, just because of the heart condition I have and my medical situation in life. I've always really resonated with loner characters, like the characters you find in Westerns who are up against situations where they have to survive and pull out their resilience and becoming your best version, your best self when the world is quite literally like against you and everything's trying to kill you. It's kind of like metaphorically feels good to me and is like cathartic to read that because I'm going up against my own health all the time and a body that's trying to kill me. So it's like it always resonated with me philosophically in the Western. Plus the like just the points we've talked about of the American mythology of it and the gunslinger. It's such a cool ideal. And sometimes I feel like you do have to romanticize your position and where you're at and just see yourself as a cooler, better version than you are. And so I've always really admired the strong silent types you get, and even the not silent strong types that are a little more, they have personality and they talk in Westerns and you get to see a bit about them. I like these strong men to look up to as role models as well. I find a lot of them in the pages of Westerns. So those two reasons for me personally are why I like this genre.
Oh, I can dig it. No, I can dig it. I definitely dig it, man. Thank you for sharing that with us and being so open and honest. That's, it's what you deal with every day. That's, but more power to you, man. You're a champ. You fight it out every day. So
thank you, man.
Got to give credit where credit is due around here, folks. TG, what about you? Of all the Westerns you've experienced in life, all these other different kinds of stories and the great rom-com that you need to see before you croak, what is it? What is it about the Western that just ropes you in so much?
Yeah, there's a lot of different things that rope me in. I think James Dawson said it last night on the podcast best, but like the entertainment value of a Western, like I open up a Western and I'm wildly entertained with the world, the people, how they lived. I think that's always interesting to me, and it's very inspiring. I think a lot of Westerns inspired me as a kid. Being in law enforcement like I am today, I was inspired by real life lawmen. Like we brought up Wyatt Earp. Bass Reeves was one I was very impressed with. Reading real life stories of how they apprehended criminals and whatnot. Criminals guilty of really heinous things, and it was just super, like I always say, some kids today, they had superheroes, in comic books, and I grew up with the Western lawman. That was my version of the superhero, and seeing those guys, and like I said, it just inspired me to another level. Because like I mentioned earlier, they weren't doing it for any other reason than it was the right thing. They weren't doing it for fame or glory. That wasn't on their minds back then. They were just simply like, I want to be a good man. And that teaches someone, a young, impressionable kid, teaches them something, very valuable in life. And it definitely had an effect on me. So it's much more than just a story to me. It's a way of life. It's everything that I want to be as a man. And not only that, like it just harkens back to his simpler time and in certain instances as well. And I think that's always what's enticed me about the Western.
TG for president. No, but great stuff though. I'm not gonna lie. This man is very well spoken. That's why he's one of the best writers in the world today. # these are the facts, not opinions. TG, you're the man. But great stuff though from both of you. I really respect it. Jeff has an answer for this question. Jeff goes on to say, for me, the Western is the American art form. It is our history, our mythos, our story, our in the grand tapestry that is mankind. It is the story of us, good and bad, heroes and villains.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
absolutely.
I definitely agree with that. Absolutely. Well said.
That's a mic drop if I ever heard one. Jeff, are you sure you're not writing an encyclopedia of Western history or books, knowledge, whatever it is? Because if you are, please send us an art copy or something.
You have three people right here that buy it, so
we'd either buy it or we would beta read it. Like, doesn't matter. We do it in a heartbeat, right, fellas? I mean, I would do it. So well said, Jeff. Well said. So the Western genre for me, because I only started watching and reading it more recently, but I've been watching it for last number of years. And I think I started watching it right before the pandemic hit. So for the last 6-7 years, I've been watching Westerns, exploring them, trying to understand them and all that stuff. And also my dad, who's unfortunately no longer with us on this earth, but he was watching Silverado a lot when I was growing up. I think if anybody remembers Silverado, I think that's a movie, right?
Yeah.
So he was watching like Silverado and the Eastwood movies, like Hang 'em High and the Dollars trilogy, obviously. I think The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly was on network television like all the time growing up. Did anyone notice that? Those movies were on a lot.
Yeah.
Unforgiven is something that I think that he watched and he enjoyed. I mean, it won the Oscar that year when it came out, so that, and for good reason too, because now that I've actually had a chance to see Unforgiven, now I get why. So the Western genre to me, and because I've written a few stories in the genre, I've hadn't like fully tipped my feet in the water, but I've dipped my toes in the Western waters, as Luke pointed out earlier. I like it because there's a lot of history you can play with. There's themes you can explore you can explore themes in all kinds of genres, but the Western genre in particular, there's areas of gray there. I think there's areas of gray. Things aren't always what they seem, gentlemen. Things don't always have to be black and white. There could be areas of gray. There could be stories of redemption, stories of people who have good intentions, but they end up being the villain of their own story, right? So those are some of the things I like to explore when I'm writing the Western. And the other thing about the Western is, I mean, you can do this in any genre, but I feel like when you explore the theme of revenge, it's very, very good to me. When I'm writing revenge stories in the Western genre, because Luke, you know that, like, revenge is very, very good to me. When you're writing stories that have the word revenge either in the title or just as a theme that explored in the overall character arc of the story, it's very, very good to me. Because as human beings, we all have that sense that we want payback against something or someone. You know what I'm saying? Right. Granted, having thoughts of revenge and actually like putting it into action are two very different things. But by the way, we don't condone violence here, but I'm just saying, like, when you want to explore it, it's good to explore it in a story rather than do it in real life, because otherwise you get in trouble in real life for that. Sorry, folks, but it's the truth. We have rules and regulations, and without those, there's chaos. But in the fiction sense of the word, you can do whatever you want. So you can have shootouts, you can have a knife fight, right, Luke? You know, people draw their knives. They have things like that, right? You know, you have there's stampedes, there's carriages breaking down, people fixing the wagon wheels, families traveling out to the West to make a new life for themselves, build a house, build a new beginnings, as it were. That's what I'm going with. So those are some of the things. Yeah, those are some of the things I like about the Western genre. What were we gonna say, Luke?
I was gonna say it is such an interesting time because it's like kind of this moment between more primal man and more modern. What we see now, it's kind of this precipice where we're building to have law and order. And now our first lawmen are coming up to the front lines to tell you, hey, here's the line, you cannot cross it. And it's such an interesting formative period in the American West. To Jeff's point, like, it is our history and it's our mythos, and it can be as like grand and epic as those stories told back in the day of like literal mythology that they were trying to tell for their cultures. It's our version of that in this time period caught between primal man, modern man. And it helps build out what Nathaniel and I always refer to as like the comprehensive man, where we want to have the capability to survive if needed, but also, you want to be able to live in this modern world and not just be, spitting your tobacco on people's feet like you're outlaw Jesse Wales and having no people skills whatsoever. So it's a great mix of the worlds to me.
You gonna draw your pistols or whistle Dixie? Yeah, dude, that's one of the best. And then when he says, "You bounty hunter, man's got to do something for a living these days. Dying ain't much of a living, boy."
So good.
I mean, it's Eastwood. Only he can say it, right? Only he can say it.
He's the man.
So good. Which here's a follow-up question to that. Favorite line ever uttered in a Western film or TV series, Luke? What's your favorite one?
That's really hard. I mean, I think the living or dying ain't much of a living might be it, but also I love where he's like, "Get 3 coffins ready," as he's walking in the first dollars.
Oh yeah,
the like, make it 3 or whatever. I love that whole part. So it's got to be one of those two off the top of my head. But if you let me think long enough, I'll have to message you my very favorite if I can.
Please do. Yeah, either do that or send us a text, or we'll put it in the comment, or you can put it in the comment section of the show. Show notes. Yeah. But what about you, TG? Any favorite Western lines that you find yourself remembering most fondly, or maybe saying in your everyday life when you're on the streets?
No, I'm not necessarily saying every day. I would say you guys just said the two that popped into my mind, but I always think of now the third quote I'm thinking of is like I said, I'd need some time to think, but I'd say the line "an open range" just before he takes out the guy that hurt his friend. He asks him straight up, like, "Are you the one that killed my friend?" Like, that quote always stuck in my head. It's like, "Are you the one that killed my friend?" And then bam, he just goes into battle. So yeah, that quote always stuck with me.
It was an awesome scene.
yeah, it's such a it's like that scene is such a memorable scene. So yeah, I'd say that one, but I'd have to think a little longer on this one. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. I know I'm kind of throwing this one out of left field for you fine fellas, but yeah, we're on the conversation of Westerns. I just thought I'd add it to the conversation. But yeah, no, it's to go. When Jeff says one of his favorite lines is "Every man wears a gun." Every man wears a gun. I'm not sure which one that's from, but
I mean, also the Wyatt Earp, you mentioned it earlier, but in Tombstone, where he's like,
you tell him
I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, that one. And then he has another line I'm blanking on, but
Your Huckleberry's really good too.
Yeah, I'm Your Huckleberry from what's his name? Val Kilmer's character, Doc Holliday. That's a good one.
Yeah, like, but there's a part where Kurt Russell is slapping Billy Bob Thornton's character.
Oh yeah.
He says something about are you going to draw that gun or something? And I can't remember. That line always makes me laugh no matter how many times I watched it, but that's a good line too. And then obviously Val Kilmer has about, 16 great lines in that movie. Yeah. But Val Kilmer, my favorite scene for him is when he's standing on the thing and he's Powers Booth and Johnny Ringo or Johnny Ringo's drunk in the street.
Yep.
And he's
threatening
Wyatt Earp. Yeah, and then Powers Booth's character's like, oh, he's just messing around, he's just fooling,
He's just drunk.
Doc Holliday's just calm as cute, he's like, I wasn't, he's got his gun behind his back. I love that scene because it just shows you how deadly he is, without showing much. It's just like, yeah, he doesn't play around when it comes to that. So yeah.
Cool.
I think you're referring to the showdown that goes down between him and Johnny Ringo in the trees or by the river, I think is what you mean.
No, it was like
or the one in the streets where he's acting drunk. He says, aren't you guys having enough to play for blood?
Yeah.
And then he says, I'm your Huckleberry. That's just my
Yeah. And he's got the gun behind his back. Yeah, that scene was great.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and he's leaning on the post out front of the building.
Just casual. Just casual.
Yeah, he's super casual about it, and you just kind of like that tells you everything you need to know without a whole lot. Like, so yeah.
Doesn't have to say much, does he?
Yeah. Exactly.
Then when he comes out of the shadows, because Ringo wanted a shot at Wyatt Earp towards the end of the movie, and he says, and he walks out with the silhouette, and he's like, Johnny Ringo, you look like someone just walked over your grave.
Yeah.
And then he says, fight's not with you, Holiday. Well, I beg to differ, sir. We started a game and then we got to finish. I was just fooling about. I wasn't.
Yeah.
Good, man.
And then it gets like real serious, like real quick, TG. You see what I'm saying, brother?
Yes. Yeah.
It's good stuff. I didn't really like Tombstone the first time I saw it many moons ago, guys. But when I rewatched it not too long ago, I realized, oh, this is what everyone was talking about. Because Val Kilmer, I mean, Kurt Russell's great and everything, but Val Kilmer kind of makes the movie. So
yeah, he's the best character, I think.
It's like, that's a mean thing to say. It's just
I had a similar experience with Unforgiven. Like,
oh really? The
Eastwood when I first, I mean, everyone that's highly always regarded as like the best Western of all time, but when I first watched Unforgiven, I think I was too young or something because it just didn't land with me at first. So I was kind of like, well, this is like not a nice story, but then I watched it again. Not that every Western has to be a nice story for me. I mean, if anyone's read my book, I don't write, super kind stuff. It's very gritty, but then I watched it Unforgiven again, and I was like, oh, like I got the deeper themes a little bit more, and it had a better rewatch value for me. That was my experience with Unforgiven. But yeah, just a little nugget there for me. I don't know if that's a popular opinion. I feel like everybody loves Unforgiven, but yeah, at first I was kind of like, and then I decided to watch it again, I think maybe a year or so ago, and I was like, oh wow, this is actually deeper. And I actually had the same experience with No Country for Old Men too, another Western, modern Western. But when I watched No Country for Old Men when I was younger, I was kind of like, that's how it ends, and then I watched it, and then
dude, it's a depressing ending, man.
Yeah, but then I watched it again, and I think I was in law enforcement for probably almost 10 years at this point, and I really resonated with Tommy Lee Jones and I don't mean to get on a tangent here, but when Tommy Lee Jones is talking about how the world's not the same anymore, and then he talks to the former law enforcement officer in that house about midway through the movie, and he's like, the world's always been bad, like you're just noticing it more now. And I was like, that resonates so much with just law enforcement, and I think with people in general too. But it's like, yeah, when you're younger, you don't notice it because you're optimist. You're an optimist. You're everything. You're excited about life, But then you get older and maybe you experience things that kind of run you down. So, anyways, when I watched No Country for Old Men, it was a similar experience for me, where I was like, oh, it just connected with me, and now I love that movie. So, yeah, it's interesting storytelling.
It is, yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
point. Isn't the No Country for Old Men with Javier Bardem flipping the coin? Call it friendo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Another great villain by
Yeah.
Cormac. But yeah.
Dude, he's a whack job.
Yeah.
In that
Terrifying.
movie. And the fact that sorry to spoil it for a movie that's 20 years old, but when he gets away with it at the end, I'm like, what? What? This is how it ends? What are you kidding me? This isn't how the world works, man.
You'll love Blood Meridian.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Let's just start
yeah.
reading Blood
Blood
Meridian.
Meridian's far
tomorrow
worse
night.
ending. Yeah. No, I love how he ends it, and he's because when Tommy Lee Jones talks about the dream he's having, he has a recurring dream and all that. And when I first watched that, it was sailed over my head, but then I watched it again, and I was kind of like, that literally almost like I don't tear up often, but for whatever reason that hit me like straight to my core. But yeah, that movie, that's my favorite Cormac story actually, is No Country for Old Men. I think that's his best work. I think after that it's kind of hit and miss in my opinion. But like Luke was saying, I think his work does makes you think, and I don't know if that's his intention, but that is definitely something he has going for him in his stories. Like they stick with you long after you set the book down. So,
I mean, they have a similar. Doesn't the sheriff in Hell or High Water with Jeff Bridges? I forget who plays his partner in that one. Luke, you're gonna have to correct me on this, but him and his partner have a bit of a similar conversation about why Chris Pine and Ben Foster are committing the crimes that they're doing. Because don't they talk about it similarly? They're like, hey, the world's changed. This is what these boys are doing. I don't like it. We don't want to have to do this, but we got to do our job. But the world's changed so much, we can't see what's going on anymore. Like, or it's something somewhat similar to that. I mean, you got to look at. I'm sure there's a clip of it on YouTube, social media that you can find. But the discussion that Jeff Bridges and his partner have is just as intriguing as the one the guys have in No Country for Old Men.
Right.
So if you guys get a chance to check that out, I would advise you to, go back and compare the two interactions of the two speeches, if you know what I mean, TG. So, yeah,
I definitely think Taylor Sheridan is like a student of Cormac McCarthy. It feels like he's a slightly more Louis L'Amour version of Cormac, where he's got a slight more optimism, slight more crowd pleasing type thing. Where Cormac I feel like he did not care what the audience thought about anything.
I don't think he cares at all.
I'm just going to do this.
The vibe I'm getting from you guys is he doesn't care about anything that anybody says.
Yeah, no, he's just, I got it. Don't worry about it.
Well, it's like somehow like Taylor Sheridan has the payoff, right? Like if he's going to
especially in Wind River, we didn't bring this up earlier, but Wind River is a great movie, underrated too. Not a lot of people have seen it, but it's real good.
Yeah, so I like how Taylor Sheridan will put you through that, but you can rely on him to have the payoff later, so it's worth it. Yeah. Cormac's like, nah, screw the payoff.
That's a great point.
Cormac's like, in fact, it's going to get worse, so strap in, And I feel like Taylor Sheridan is like, yes, this is a tough moment, but these characters, you can trust that they'll probably overcome it, but there's just enough of uncertainty that you are on the edge of your seat. So yeah.
You're like, hang tough because it'll pay off.
Yeah, and then when it happens, So.
The middle of No Country for Old Men, not to spoil anything, but for people, that's the kind of thing that Cormac would do, is take what you're expecting and everything heroic that you love and just be like, never mind. Off screen, don't even care. It's not relevant. We're moving forward. Forget it.
Yeah. And the book's pretty similar to that too. From what I remember, where I was like, what? I thought it was fake when I read it in the book. I was like, he's got to be just messing with us or something,
serious, right?
And then the book ends and he never came back. I was like, oh, okay. I kept expecting him to come back.
Oh, goodness gracious. Man.
Yeah.
Some deep stuff going on here, but no, I mean, the Wind River. I mean, and by the way, the fact that this movie stars Hawkeye and Wanda, Maximoff, what is it, Scarlet Witch, in the same movie, okay? Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch in the same movie. And here's the thing: Jeremy Renner's been doing drama, acting and whatever else for many, many years. Elizabeth Olsen, she's been doing it not quite as long as Jeremy has, but when I saw Wind River, I thought to myself, okay, Elizabeth Olsen's got a really bright future in acting because she's fine for what she does in the MCU. It's not like Shakespeare or anything like that. It's fine for what she does. But in Wind River, she turned it up a notch, man.
It's a great movie.
I'm saying
really hard to watch too.
It is. It's disheartening, I think is the word I'm looking for, right, TG? It's disheartening that this stuff happens. That it happens.
Yeah.
Very disheartening.
How are we feeling about the sequel?
I mean, is it out yet? Is it out?
Not out yet, but are we pumped? Not pumped? Where are we guys at with that?
Is the trailer out?
I don't even think that's out, but they have wrapped filming it, and it's fully kind of.
I'm gonna wait for. I don't know about you, TG, but I'm gonna wait for the trailer. I'm gonna wait.
Yeah, it's a little bit worrying for sure because Taylor Sheridan's not involved. all different cast. I think Clint Eastwood's son's the main character now.
Oh, Scott Eastwood is the main
Scott
guy?
Eastwood, yeah. So it could go horribly wrong, I think, but it could also be cool depending on how they do it. It's very worrisome though, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a pretty tough topic, and if they're trying to like recreate that type of thing with a new group, that is worrisome because it's such a hard thing to talk about. And you know, I happen to work on a tribal reservation, so I think how Taylor Sheridan did it, it was very, very well done. It's very like portrayed. Some of those reservations are very much like that. The one I work on, not so much, not to that intense level. But yeah, I think that he does a good job of representing Native American culture and representing the missing and indigenous people. You know, I think, you know, missing, murdered indigenous people has been happening quite a bit lately, for a long time. And I think that movie really illustrates how easy it is for some of these girls on a reservation to get taken or be placed in a bad spot. You know, sometimes, you know, it's their own families, you know, as bad as that is, you know, because they're living in poverty. And so some of these, like, you know, you get a mom that's living on her own who has a boyfriend who preys on a younger kid, and then they traffic them for money, you know, because they're so down on money. It's a real, but anyways, not to get Debbie, I'm starting to sound like
not to get too deep into the weeds.
Yeah,
here, but you know,
I'm sounding like Cormac McCarthy with things.
I know, seriously. Do I look like I want to read more Blood Meridian? Get out of my head.
but no, I think, to loop it around, I think with Wind River, he did a very good job of showing respect for such a hard topic, and then having a satisfying entertainment value for everybody involved, not just, you know, one certain audience. I think the way that movie ended, you got the message that this happens a lot, but you also got entertainment value out of it. And I think that's a really hard line to walk. So for them to do a sequel, it's kind of that worries me, because I'm like, okay, are they going to be able to capture that again? Because one, that's so hard to capture, and two, now you have a completely different creative crew. It's like, okay, I don't need it. I don't want it to turn into the Expendables, you know. That would be totally inappropriate. No. That'd be super inappropriate for that.
It could get exploitative pretty fast if they were just like, well, we could just do it again with another crime and just show off the location and just use it as like, well, it's the name. We could use Wind River again, and then
and that happens a lot. And
to that point, TG, have you seen Dark Winds?
Yeah.
Do you like that show? What are your thoughts on that?
I like it. It's, you know, I've read some of the books by, I think, Tony Hillerman, and they follow the books somewhat to the T. But no, it's all right. It's a little lighter than, you know, than some of the other shows. But it's pretty good. It's kind of like Longmire, but it's set in the 70s. And I'm glad that they set the show in the 70s, because the books are very much prevalent, like the 70s culture and stuff. And so it feels like you're in a time machine when you're reading those Dark Winds books. Because it very much feels like you're in the 70s. So no, I like Dark Winds.
Okay. I think it's streaming for free. It's streaming for free on my Roku Smart TV, I think, right now. So I can go back and watch it. I believe I can. But the lead actor on that was, in fact, one of the tribal police officers in Longmire. Yeah,
and he's a good pick for that role. But I like I said, it didn't knock my socks off by any means, but it was all right. Like, it wasn't bad. Nothing bad to say about it.
Kind of like a 50-50 maybe. Something
on
that. Yeah.
Is that what it is? All right. Just making sure I had the numbers right. Once again, we are celebrating all things Western, even though T.G. Brown likes to make us feel sad and lonely and depressed and go off the rails at times. But
Cormac McCarthy Jr. here.
Cormac McCarthy Jr. Yeah, JR. Who shot JR? There's a Western for you right there. Dallas, anybody? Anybody remember Dallas and who shot JR from 100 years ago? Good Lord.
They're remaking that, right?
Well, they already remade Dallas as a TV series with Jordana Brewster from Fast and Furious.
That's
some of the other young actors. They basically play the original cast's like children, but it's more or less the same storylines that they had in the original series that are just being reset in modern times. Like, you know, the daughter is sleeping with the the rival's son or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same soap opera formula that followed the original Dallas. It just happens to follow it into its sequel.
Gotcha.
I gotcha.
Yeah, I made the mistake of watching the first season, maybe two, because I was ensconced with Jordana Brewster. But she's beautiful. She's smart. She's ravishing. We all know her from the Fast and Furious franchise as Mia, the sister Mia to Dom Toretto's character, if you know who I'm talking about. So, and it's funny, though, because I didn't know that Jordana Brewster was also in the movie The Faculty with Josh Hartnett. I didn't know she was in that. It's true. Look it up. It's true. But as far as movie quotes go, anyway, when it comes to the Western genre, one of the other things we forgot to mention, I forgot to mention this to you, especially TG. So Eastwood says in the final movie of the Dollar Trilogy, "See, in this world, there are two kinds of people, my friend. Those with loaded guns and those who dig. You dig." See, but this is how I would replace the words. I would say, TG Brown, there are two kinds of, see, in this world, there are two kinds of people, my friend. Those who write and those who publish. You publish.
Sick.
Boom. There you go. Marketing. Add this to a t-shirt, sell it online. Veritas Entertainment. I expect to get residuals. So I just came with a great idea for your marketing, guys. I just came with a great idea. Take a great quote, throw some different words in there, TG, and what do you got? Marketing. Boom.
Could sell those at Pulp Fest, right? Next year. You'll sell some t-shirts with awesome pulp quotes.
If you want me to, I can be your table buddy. I can work the table with you. Sure, dude. Why not?
It'd be fun.
It would be fun. I think all of us as a family, the Mental Fiction Discord, and everyone who's watching or listening to this right now, if you're a fan of the Western genre, respectively, we should all gather together and go to Pulp Fest in Mars, Pennsylvania, if I'm not mistaken. Mars, Pennsylvania. So
yeah, if any of you guys are going this year, me and Nathaniel will be there with a booth for Veritas. So come say hi to us.
That would be a lot of fun. I think we all should go at some point. One of these days we got to do a meetup of all the Mental Fiction family. We got to find a place that's in between where everybody lives and just meet up in this giant, like, we should book it like a hotel and a conference, like a conference room or a ballroom or something.
Get our own Men's Adventure Fiction conference going on, dude.
Can we do that?
Yeah, nice. I'm sure we're leading up to it. As soon as we get this thing off the ground with enough money to book a whole entire hotel like that. Probably don't have the funds right now, but I would love to do that as soon as we have the ability. It'd be sick.
Let's do it. Let's make it the 5-year plan, guys. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. We're not getting any younger. Let's make it happen soon. Just throwing it out there. But yeah, those are, I'm trying to think of other lines I enjoyed in Western. When it comes to Westerns, I'm just trying to think of it because I want to keep it on the rails here. Let me see. Quick and the Dead. Sharon Stone says some people deserve to die. It's not a bad one. Let's see. Court says to Sharon Stone's character, "Don't go down that road. You don't have to be like me." Because when he's talking about like how he became an outlaw and how he's trying to stop being an outlaw, that's a story of redemption. I like that. So some of the speeches that Court makes within The Quick and the Dead are good stuff. If you ever look it up on YouTube, it's good stuff. That was his North American film debut too for Russell Crowe. Do you know that?
Yeah, no.
Mm-hmm.
The final speech in Red Dead Redemption 2 is also worth YouTubing in your free time. Yeah, it's pretty good.
You know, I've never played the game, but I've heard good things about it over the years.
Yeah, 1 and 2 are really good. I haven't finished 2 because I just don't play video games that often. It would take like 20 hours probably to finish that thing. I don't know. But when I was a kid and I played the first one, I spent my entire summer inside playing that game. I was like, let's go. This is amazing. I just wish I had the attention span or the ability to do that. Now I've got kids and stuff. Can't sit and play that game. So I'm still on like chapter 2. But I have seen the ending on YouTube. And it's great.
Yeah.
Chapter 2. Good. Have you played any of Red Dead Redemption there, TG, or not so much?
Oh yeah, actually, yeah. I don't play a ton of games, but that was a game series that I jumped on and played right away. Yeah, I've finished both of them. So yeah, I'm hoping they do a third one actually. So
it'd be awesome. I need more. I need to finish 2 first though.
Yeah.
Gotta get back on it.
2's a bit long. I just did the main story for 2, just and kind of there's a ton of side quests that you can go back and do,
just
but
ignore those.
I just ignored them because I was like trying to be time efficient, kind of because I was like, I don't think I have time to do all those. I just want to see how this thing ends, you know. So that's what I did.
Fair enough, understandably so. Yeah, I haven't played too many Western games. One Western game that I did play when I was a quote unquote gamer, it was simple. It was called Gun. Anybody ever heard of a Western video game called Gun? You guys remember that?
Yep.
Thomas Jane, the Punisher, was the voice of the lead character in that game.
That's awesome. I love the Punisher.
Well, look up the Look up the Gun cutscenes from the video game. Because it was out on what was it out on? PS2, Xbox? Yeah.
Xbox.
So
Xbox
look it up, guys. Look at the cutscenes. They're I mean, granted, the graphics are, you can tell that they're dated, but at the same time, it's good cinematics for what it was made from, and also Thomas Jane is the voiceover of the lead character. Come on.
He did the Punisher video game too.
Yeah.
I know that's not Western, but then Punisher is my favorite character of all time. So.
And I liked his iteration of the Punisher, the movie that he made.
Yeah,
I didn't mind the movie either. You know what I mean?
I love it. That was, to be somewhat Western, the director did say he was trying to go for a modern Western feel for that movie. That's why there's the duster jacket and he throws him back and gets the dual pistol draw in the bank scene. Yep.
Yeah, in the lobby. Yeah.
So it was supposed to be a modern Western in homage, kind of like Logan.
Yeah. Well, they did a pretty good job. I mean, for my money anyway, they did a good job with Thomas Jane and John Travolta's in it. Rebecca Romaine from X-Men is in it. Will Patton Will Patton.
Mhm.
He's in it, right? Yeah, he's in it. I mean, you got a great cast, so I'm not going to lie about that. But those are some of my favorite lines when it comes to the Western genre of movies and et cetera, et cetera. I'm trying to think. Any other pieces of Western media that we have yet to mention, whether it's the games or maybe magazines that have popped up over the years or something else that we have yet to mention here, gentlemen? Luke, you got anything?
There was a Louis L'Amour magazine that I recently learned about from Louis L'Amour's Instagram posting it, and I wish they would revive that in some way. I wish Beau L'Amour could put that back out now, because the Louis L'Amour Western magazine would be just so cool. I need to get my hands on some of the old back issues, and we should start making new issues because that is too cool. And I feel like Louis L'Amour just needs more time in the sun these days.
I feel like you're going to be the president and CEO of the fan club here pretty soon.
definitely,
if not already, because you're already like you showed off your some of your Louis L'Amour paperbacks there a little while ago.
Only a bit of them too.
Yeah.
I have like a stack right next to me. Which he's got his nonfictions too. So we got Crossfire Trail.
Oh, really? Oh, that's nonfiction?
Oh, no, not yet. I'm getting to it. This one, Education of a Wandering Man, is like a truly must read for a lot of people. I would say it's his nonfiction about his life and his kind of philosophy about education and like learning and experiencing the world and reading all across all genres and stuff and being well read. It's really good. And then just
those are some sick covers, man.
How about this one? To Tame a Land is a great Louis L'Amour book, and it's got a sweet cover. Yeah, it's one of my favorites for sure.
Okay, that's brilliant. Like I said, we're getting all kinds of recommendations for our audience, maybe watching or listening to this right now. So there you go. Feel free to check your local listings, check your local library too, because libraries have some of these things. Speaking of libraries, Jeff has a recommendation. He says, check out Lulu. It's an online site where you can buy prints of old magazines. I have copies of Western Tales and Mammoth Western from the Pulp magazine days.
Awesome. That is sweet. Yeah, maybe I'll find some of the Louis L'Amour magazine on there. I need to get one of those. It's like on the list.
I believe that would help moving forward. So, yeah, what about you, TG? Any other pieces of Western media we have yet to mention on this broadcast, even though you've kind of taken us deep into the weeds of Cormac McCarthy for some odd reason?
No, I think Luke hit it right on the head there. I was going to say the Education of Wandering Man's a really good read too. But I'd say just echoing what you guys already said.
Well, I guess one more would be Lone Ranger. That was like one of the biggest inspirations for gun law for me, is just watch any iteration you could possibly find of Lone Ranger and you'll have a good time. Or listen to
I was going to say, are we including the Disney?
I am including that one, yes.
Okay, wow.
It's okay.
You got guts, Luke. You got guts because 99.99999% of the human population says that's one of the worst movies ever made.
I fight on the hill of Rocky V being amazing too. I'm not afraid to say
that. That's true. Here we go.
TG, I don't know if you knew this or not, but he actually thinks that Rocky 4 and 5 are good movies, and I'm like, what movies are you watching?
They're amazing.
No, that was like our first podcast together. You guys had a debate about it.
Yeah. So I'm not afraid to say that Lone Ranger is pretty cool too, but it will throw on some of the old radio serials, like the radio broadcasts of Lone Ranger while you're driving. It's great.
Yeah, there's a lot of good podcasts. Wild West Extravaganza is a good one. I actually, like, when I was researching my book, I did a lot of research of like articles and news articles from back then to see just how they talked. That was I really wanted to get I like writing dialogue in my books and seeing how they talk and worded things back then. I learned a lot from reading news articles. I read journals from Civil War soldiers that either journals themselves or letters that they wrote out to their loved ones. And I think that was interesting. It's super hard to read though, because they write with, black ink and it smears a little bit, but definitely that was another good form of finding information on the Wild West.
That's really smart. First-hand sources, what do they call those? Is that first-hand source? Those are great.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Like when you go all the way back to their real news, that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, in the words of our, popular late 80s film, you know your history. It's very good. Just throwing it out there, but let's see. Oh no, Jeff, don't tell me this. Don't say this. No. So Jeff says Disney's Lone Ranger is fantastic in the opening and the last 30 minutes. Everything in between is just them cramming in references to other films. It's excruciating, but I love the ending though.
Yeah, it does this. It's worth it because you got the beginning and the end are some of the coolest high action. Because you like Pirates of the Caribbean, right?
Well, I like the first one. The sequels never happened.
Well, one is good, and there's that kind of action in the Lone Ranger in certain scenes, and it's well worth it to see that huge of action spectacle with a Western.
That's fair. I mean, I just came around to. I haven't seen the movie since it came out in theaters. What was it? 10 years ago? No, not 10 years ago. It was more like 15. So I rewatched Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time with Jake Gyllenhaal, who has no business being in that movie, playing that character with that ethnicity. That it makes no sense whatsoever. But you do have one of the most beautiful and talented women in the world, Gemma Arterton, as the princess, and she's quite beautiful. I'm just going to leave it there. But listen, guilty as charged, Luke. I like Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. Do I think it's one of the greatest movies of all time? Absolutely not. But I can turn the engines off, right? Turn the brain off, and just enjoy a sword and sandals adventure movie because I like sword and sandal, adventure movies. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I don't know. Does anyone else here have you seen Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, TG, or no?
Yeah. I think I saw it when it came out years and years ago. Yeah. But yeah.
It's fun. You can turn your brain off. Alfred Molina steals the show. He's the the shop owner or the ostrich race handler who kind of like gets in the middle of everything and just kind of messes things up for the main characters. It's quite funny. And Alfred Molina was Adios Sapito. I mean, he's in Raiders, so
sure. Just
throwing it out there, guys. Just throwing it out there. He's also in Spider-Man 2 as Doc Ock, so that always helps too. One of the best comic book villain performances in history, right? Doc Ock with Alfred Molina. It's great. Yeah, just throwing it out there. But as far as other pieces of Western media, I can't really think. I mean, other than the fact that there was a video game that we all played on our desktop with floppy disks, also known as the Oregon Trail. I don't know if anybody remembers Oregon Trail, but I would get halfway through and then everyone just dies off of dysentery. So
you got dysentery. All right, try again.
Anybody remember that?
Oh yeah.
Those were on floppy disks, guys. Those were on those big flat, like either black discs or the plastic ones, the smaller ones that you would slide into those slots. Anybody remember that?
Man. Oh, dude, that was huge over here in Oregon. Like, kidding me?
Was
it?
Yeah,
the Oregon Trail. Like, we don't have anything set in Oregon.
Was it plastered all over your local
stores? Oh, yeah, dude. And all the kids played that, man. We were all like, did you get there? Did you? Like, yeah, we talked about that all the time when we were little. Yeah.
Did you ever make it, though? Did you ever win the game? Did you ever get across the Oregon Trail, TG, when you played it?
I don't know. I don't remember.
You don't remember?
Probably not. Darn it. Probably died.
Dysentery.
Took too many risks.
If you did make it, you would have had it printed out and framed on your wall to this day. So you probably didn't make it.
That's a good point.
I was gonna say I played the game a number of times. I think I made it like 2 or 3 times. Every time, out of the X amount of times I played it. But I think I printed out the winner or something, like you mentioned, Luke. Maybe I had it on my wall for 2 seconds and just took it away. I don't know. I can't remember. Maybe I had it in my folder in school when we had those things, and then they got rid of it at the end of the school year. I think that's what happened. So
you guys just take down the diploma and put that up. That's like way cooler that you were able to finish through the Oregon Trail. That's the best. That's what I'm going to do. People are going to go into my counseling office instead of seeing a license. They're going to see it. You made
it. Oh Lord! Stay awesome. Tuned for when we do our Best Westerns special podcast, episode 3, where we see a picture. We bring Luke's going to pan his camera over to where his certificate or diploma is. It's like, hey, you passed the test. You got through Oregon Trail, y'all. So, just throwing it out there. But I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything here. But no. Well, here's kind of a final wrap up here, if you don't mind me asking, gentlemen. Where do we see the Western genre moving forward in terms of all forms of media, Luke? Where do you see the Western genre going?
I think the modern Westerns had like a huge grasp for a while, and we'll still see a bit of that. But I do feel like just classic Westerns are going to come back. You'll probably see another Lone Ranger remake here in like the next 10 years or something, or if not shorter time. I think we're going to see bigger budget Westerns, like classic in time period Westerns. That's kind of how I see it shifting back. People got a flavor of the modern Westerns, and we're like, yeah, the Western is sweet, and I love this. And then Taylor Sheridan kind of throws them into 1923. So I think it helped people in the modern audiences like find a love again for classic Westerns. So my hope is that we see more big budget, kind of like we saw a little burst in like the early 2007s to 10 range where we had all those remakes of the True Grit and things like that. I think we'll see some more original Westerns, time period accurate, coming to the big screen.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. Nice stuff, man. Nice. What about you, TG? Where do you see the Western genre moving forward here in the future? What do you think is going to happen to it?
Yeah, I think there'll be a revival of it. I think that we're then I think that's clear that there is enough interest in it, and with the modern Western being successful, and I think that it's bound to come back. It's one of the oldest forms of movies that are out there. The Western and the horror movies are what kind of started movies in general, and I think that people are wanting to go back to that, and I think I think there's enough people out there in the industry that want to have a revival of the Wild West genre. So I'm excited to see it. I think that Luke's hit it right on the head. I think it's going to make a comeback, and it's going to come back great.
Good points. Jeff goes on to say here in the chat, he says, modern Westerns have blown up. They will likely continue. We'll never go back to the heyday of the 50s, but Westerns will never die. For the same reason the samurai, pirate, and knight will never die.
Absolutely.
Which brings me to actually one piece of media that we have to mention is Red Sun. Has anyone seen the Red Sun? With you got like Charles Bronson, Alain Delon, and the guy in all the Kurosawa samurai films. I'm blanking on his name, but all of them are in a movie together. It's a Western, but
never heard of it.
Very sweet Western that kind of mixes like the biggest French action star, one of the biggest American action stars, and the biggest Japanese action star, and they're on this train. It's pretty cool. I gotta mention that with his comment there, just made me think of that.
Yeah.
With the
Red
knight
Sun
and the pirates, samurais.
Never heard of that before. I'm gonna have to. I think some of us are gonna sit down here at one point or another and look that up. But yeah, to wrap it all up, I would say the Western genre isn't going anywhere. It's been around for many years. It's going to continue to grow and progress and evolve and all those things. I mean, we got things like Longwood Trails and Cut Them Downs and Gun Law Bloodlands, and all this other stuff. But it's just. And we also got an anthology coming out here pretty soon, which we're all pretty jazzed about, right, gentlemen? So there's a lot to be excited for, whether it's the TV series side of things, the movie side of things. Hopefully the movies, we get more Western movies or modern Westerns. That would be nice. I'd like to see more in theaters or on streaming services. Not that they're not, but I would just like to see more come out of the woodwork, with all due respect to the genre itself, because there's so much history there. But look forward to reading the books. Look forward to learning more about these writers and authors and people who are featured on this not episode, but this special presentation celebrating the Western genre as a whole. Well, saddle up. I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to you for watching or listening to this special presentation regarding the Western genre. Thank you to our guests, Luke Goodish. If I'm saying that, is it Goodish? Am I getting there? All right, good. I got it. I can keep my job tomorrow. And TG Brown for being here, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but maybe 3 or 4 times. He's been here too many times. I don't think we're going to have him back, but it was great to have. It was great to have.
Cormac up too many times. You're out.
Yeah. If you bring up the depressing, don't want to read, don't want to watch any of his movie Cormac McCarthy adaptations, you're not coming back, dude. You're not coming back. But no.
See you guys.
I'm messing with you. No, but we're all messing with you, though, bro. No, listen. This has been fun. This has been great. We've done this once before with our good friend Lori Calcaterra, who's an indie comic book creator of Path of the Pale Rider, which is a Western horror comic book series. Check that out, Path of the Pale Rider, on social media. I think issue 7 is going into its Kickstarter right now. So if you want to have a catch up with that, feel free to check it out. If you're into,
what was her name again?
Lori Calcaterra lives in the great state of Texas, and the name of the series is called Path of the Pale Rider, which is inspired by The Man with No Name of Clint Eastwood, mixed with Red Dead Redemption, mixed with Resident Evil, because there are zombies in the story, because that's why it's horror themed, as well as some other stuff. It's creepy. It's scary-ish, but if you're into that sort of thing and you want to combine the Western and the horror genre together, check out Path of the Pale Rider. And her character is based off of the Eastwood Man with No Name character there for you, Luke. So you may get something out of it. I don't know. If you're a fan of those different movies or TV or film properties, check it out. Path of the Pale Rider, Lori Calcaterra from the great state of Texas. She was on our Western celebration that we've done before quite some time ago. I can't believe I'm saying that. My gosh. But this is like a part 2/sequel, because these days, Sydney, you got to make a sequel. So thank you for joining us. This has been I know, honest to God, this has been a lot of fun. So, Luke, if someone wants to know more about you and the incredible things Veritas is doing, where can they follow you?
I would say Instagram is like the easiest place to get a hold of me. ls_author, as you can see on like the little name thing I have here, is where you could find me. And then I think Veritas is just veritas.entertainment on Instagram. That's where you can see what we're doing with the short story collections, the short film festivals, and that's all like community and creator driven. So we're always asking like for submissions. So keep your eye out. Like we'll be doing a few more. Like we have our horror short film festival coming out in fall, and so if you want to make a horror short film, you could submit now. But we're also going to be throwing out some new collections and different things we're going to be asking for submissions on. So hang out with us there and get involved and get yourself in one of these collections or on one of the short films. And that's where I'd say to check me out.
Fabulous. Thank you for being with us, kind sir. Do greatly appreciate it. Yeah. TG, my man, even though you got more homework to do than the average bear, If someone wants to know more about you, check out your books, some of the other things you got going on over there in your neck of the woods of OregonTrail.com. No, I'm just kidding. Oregon, the great state of Oregon, the Pacific Northwest. Where can they follow you on social media, brother?
Yeah, so I'm most easily found on my website, www.tgbrownbooks.com. We have a lot of discussions about books, movies, whatever. If you subscribe, you get all the content. It's free to subscribe there, and I have an email list that I stay in touch with there. I'm also found on social media. I'm on Instagram as TG Brown Books, and then on Facebook is just TG Brown. You can reach out to me on all platforms, and I'm open to have a discussion and talk about storytelling and the things that we love. So yeah.
Awesome, man. Thanks for being with us. You greatly appreciate it. And thanks for making me feel depressed for half of this broadcast. But it's okay. It's all right. We love you all the same. We're going to have you back. Don't worry. You're invited back. We'll have him back. Stick around, guys. Stick around. My name is Ryan of Anti Quote Channel. You TG Brown and your sayings. But no, this has been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed this. My name is Ryan of Anti Quote Channel. Follow me across all forms of social media. Simply, where am I pointing to? There it is. At Anti Quote Channel. That's where you can catch all our social media posts. We're on Facebook. We're on TikTok. We are on Instagram. YouTube is the primary way you can find us. We got all our videos are in respectful playlists for different themes of discussion or different fandoms that you may be into. At Anti Quote Channel, we encourage you to embrace the nerd within you. That's what we do here. So we talk about movies, TV shows, comic books, words on a page. And good news is I got some books coming away very soon, and I will be doing an unboxing for some of this stuff. Also, Western Tales Volume 1 presented by Veritas Entertainment is coming out July 22nd. My short story is going to be a part of it along with 14 other writers, which I'm very proud of. I'm very happy for everybody involved in this project to see it come to fruition, see it come out to the public. And you who may be watching or listening to this right now, it's going to be available on Amazon. So go to Amazon, pre-order it, get the ebook, or if you're a fan of physical media, get the hard copy or paperback when it comes out on July 22nd. More specifically, that is what's going on with that. My story, as Luke pointed out earlier, is called Wolf of the West. Yeah. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Westerns are good, and they're, as we said earlier, they're here to stay. So definitely check that out. Check out all the great stuff we got going on. Anti Quotes on Saturdays, 12 p.m. EST. Movie watch-alongs are on Friday nights, 7 p.m. We also got special areas of programming that we do outside of the movie watch-alongs on Friday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So check all that out. Thank you for being here. Do not forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Ring the bell to be notified when the videos go up or to go live. And thank you so much for celebrating the genre simply known as the Western. Saddle up.
Mr. Cogburn, in your 4 years as U.S. Marshal, how many men have you shot?
Shot or killed?
Let us restrict it to killed so that we may have a manageable figure.
Mr. Cogburn?
What do you want, girl?
I'm looking for the man who killed my father. The man's name is Tom Chaney, and I need somebody to go after him.
What's your name?
My name is Maddie Ross. Are you some kind of law?
I'm a Texas Ranger. I know Chaney. It is at least a two-man job taking him alive.
Marshal Cogburn? Can we depart this afternoon?
We?
I'm going with you.
Congratulations, you've graduated from marauder to wet nurse.
We're being followed.
What do we do, Marshal?
You missed your shot, Cogburn.
Just let this go.
I thought you were going to say the sun was in your eyes. That is to say, your eye.
You got a lot of experience with bounty hunters, do you?
That is a silly question. I am 14.
You can run on for a long time.
Time for you to go home.
I don't like you.
I will not go back, not without Chaney, dead or alive.
Sooner or later, gotta cut you down.
Chaney's here! Help me, Marshal!
Now what, Cogburn?
Them boys don't think about the wrath that's about to set down on it. Chaney and his gang are rough lot. I do not regret shooting your father.
I will kill this girl!
Biggest mistake you ever made.
Tell them that God's gonna cut you down.
Help me!
I can do nothing for you, son.